are again. Jason Redman, sir, thanks for your time. Thank you for coming up. Thank you for joining me here. Welcome to the show, man.
Honor to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Dude.
And we crossed paths a few months ago.
Yeah.
I had seen you out there in the interwebs doing good things.
Out in the ether.
Yeah. And then meeting in person. So I appreciate you inviting me to join you.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. I mean, for those of you that don't know, I first met Jason here at a Independence Fund event near Charlotte.
Yep.
And that was the first time I'd met you in person, but I'd seen you on podcasts, of course. I'm sure a lot of people have seen you on podcasts at this point, just because you've been on quite a few at this point. And it was cool to finally meet you in person. And I know you have a very interesting story, both before service, during service, and after service. And you've got a lot of stuff going on now. We'll talk about a whole wide range of things. I'm sure we'll cover a bunch of topics. I've been looking forward to this because I didn't really have a lot. You don't really have a lot of time to get to know somebody in like a 5, 10, 15-minute meeting in a place where you're at an event for something else. So I was definitely looking forward to having this conversation. So I am glad that you were able to take some time to come here and spend some time here with me chatting it up. So what I want to do before we get started, we'll kind of read through a quick bio. Just for those of you out there that don't know a little bit about Jason Redman here. Jason Redman is a wounded warrior and a retired Navy SEAL. And you're also a New York Times best-selling author, speaker, entrepreneur, and coach. You served 21 years as a Navy SEAL, completing 5 deployments and 2 combat deployments to Afghanistan and Iraq. You were severely wounded outside of Fallujah, Iraq, leading your team on a direct action mission targeting a high-value Al-Qaeda leader. The team survived the devastating ambush only after calling a close air support mission from an Air Force AC-130 gunship directly on their position. What year was that?
2007.
2007?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So that I think Earl, who we were just talking to, was in the AO during that period of time as well. He said it would become the closest fire mission executed in the entire Iraq War. Jason became nationally known for the bright orange sign he had on his Bethesda Naval Hospital door, which has become a national statement of overcoming adversity. Jason now teaches his overcome mindset teaches how his overcome mindset helped him rise above a leadership failure, devastating enemy ambush, life-changing injuries, and even a debilitating business crisis. Your incredible story, positive message, and vibrant energy make you a highly demanded speaker and coach both nationally and internationally. You've completed over 700 keynote speeches and workshops. In 2025, you won the Great American Speak Off on the stage at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, beating out 26,000 contestants. That's quite a few people.
Yeah.
You must have a good way with words.
Yeah. As my kids say, I'm wordy.
Hey, well, I'm a talker too.
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to this. In the entrepreneur space, you've invested in short-term rentals, commercial real estate, and run a Virginia-based event center. In 2023, you invested and became a founding member of Patriot Heart Seltzer. Currently, you are a founding member of the technology company TurboVets, and you serve as the chief business officer. All right. So you've done quite a bit since you exited service. You served for 21 years. That's quite a long time. I would say a minority of people end up serving the full 20 years because it's tough. It's a hard life.
Yeah.
And how long post
injury?
Post injury did you continue to serve for?
I was wounded in my 15th year.
Okay, so you had another 6 to go after that.
Yeah. So, and it took roughly 4 years to put me back together. So there was about 3 years of time where, one, navigating that whole process. 2, probably in the first 2 years, I thought I'd go back operational. I thought they could put me back together to the point that I would operate again.
Yeah.
Probably in the 3rd year, I came to the realization that was never going to happen again. But along that way, I committed and said, hey, I came in to do 20 years. Thankfully, the SEAL teams took care of me.
Yeah.
But a couple more years into that, I was getting close to 20 and recognized that, hey, I'm at the end of my road.
Yeah.
The SEAL teams do not have a staff officer path. It is only operational.
Okay.
So for me, I'm a prior enlisted guy.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm prior enlisted. I was commissioned in my 11th year. So I was up for '04, right about as I was coming up to the 20-year mark in the Navy Officer Corps. You know, that path from '01 to '04 is about an 8 or 9, 10-year path.
Oh, wow.
So I was up for '04. But the reality is that would have been the last rank I ever could have made.
Yeah.
I never would have made '05 because I didn't check the operational boxes that are required of SEALs.
Okay, that makes sense.
So when I saw that, I kind of was like, okay, maybe it's time to start looking at life after the military.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. I mean, ultimately, everybody's going to get out. You know, we are all going to get out eventually. Everybody's going to transition from active duty to either the reserves or to retirement. And finding out, like, trying to find some sort of purpose after service is a struggle for a lot of people, especially guys from, like, special operations communities that have very intense drive and felt very strong senses of purpose doing what they do. So you seem to have been able to find it pretty well. I think you're doing pretty well for yourself. You seem to be successful to me. I think you've done very well, especially compared to a lot of folks that transition out. So that gives me hope. It should give other people hope as well who have experienced that transition and are still trying to figure it out, or maybe they feel like they're floundering around. That means that other people can do it too. You know what I mean? If you can do it, then other people can do it too. I too share the Mustang thing as well, although I'm not nearly as cool as a Navy SEAL.
I don't know. You're a Marine, man. Everyone knows out there. I have a ton of respect for the Marines. You guys owned the battle space when I was in Fallujah.
Yeah.
I always had appreciation for the Marines, but I will tell you, we did quite a few missions interacting with those guys, even clearances, and I was super impressed with how locked on the young Marines were.
Yeah.
And I would take a Marine. If I can't have a SEAL, I'll take a Marine. That's my second choice in a fight.
Dude, I love it, man.
Yeah.
I've heard that from a lot of other Navy SEALs I've worked with, I've been fortunate to work with or cross paths with. There's something about like the relationship between the Marine Corps and the Navy SEALs is like, the Navy SEALs are more like the older brother that's in a professional business field, and then the younger brother that's kind of getting in fist fights in the bar all the time. That's like the Marines, but you want to look after them and take care of them. So you're like, hey, come over here, come over here.
Yeah. It's true, man. And I also think that out of the military, the tightest camaraderie and culture that I've seen exists in the Marine Corps and the SEAL teams. And no knock on the Rangers and the Green Berets. They also have their own, but there's just something about the culture that the Marine Corps has built.
Yeah.
And for a service, that's super impressive.
Yeah. It is a culture for sure.
Oh, no doubt. And you guys are so tied to it, and everything about the Marine Corps is built around it, and it carries with you guys for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other services in the military and other units in the military, it's not as deep.
Yeah.
It doesn't carry with them like ours does also.
Yeah.
I mean, the culture of the SEAL teams is built into us, and you will carry it for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And you probably stay pretty close connected with folks that are in that community, even post-service, I would imagine.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm still close to many of my brothers. Some are still in, most are out at this point.
Yeah. Well, some of the old heads, right?
Yeah, no. How the hell did I become an old guy? I'm getting ready to celebrate. It's nuts. December, and I don't know if you put out when you record these, but December of 25 will be my 30-year anniversary graduating from SEAL training.
Okay.
So we are having a reunion, our class.
30 years, you said?
30 years.
30 years since you graduated, buds.
Yeah. How crazy is that?
That's
Even I have
wild.
a hard time like wrapping my head around. How did that happen? How did 30 years go by, bro?
That's crazy. Yeah, 30 years ago, man, it was, what was it 30 years ago? I mean, it was like 1995. Is that right?
95. Yep.
1995 is when you graduated, buds.
That's right.
Man, I was in elementary school, I think, 30 years ago.
I started buds January of 1995 and graduated December 15th. I got rolled.
Okay. That's pretty common, I imagine, for a lot of guys.
It is. Only about 25% of guys make it through in one shot.
Okay.
So the rest of us either get performance rolled or rolled for injuries. I was rolled for really a double roll for injury. First injury was it's a funny story. We can get into it if you want. But
sure.
First injury was a component tendonitis injury to my feet. Got rolled, and while I decided to go on leave down into Mexico while I was on my injury healing period, I broke my arm in a stupid drunken...
In Mexico?
In Mexico, yeah. Came back, and basically I knew they'd kick me out if they found... I was underage. I was only 19 when I was in SEAL training. So I came back to the instructors and said, yeah, I was down in Mexico rock climbing and fell and broke my arm. And thankfully I was a good enough student. And the instructors were like, sure. And
okay.
Yeah. So they didn't really buy it. And they said, okay, well, here's the deal. Class 202 will class back up in August on this date, which was only 3 weeks after I got my cast off. They were like, we don't care. You will class up with that class.
Wow.
So, which I struggled. Like my arm was super weak. I failed almost every swim. Not every, but I struggled with every swim.
Yeah.
And failed the first several after I classed back up.
Because you had a broken arm that you were recovering from.
Yeah. I did everything else. I worked out. I got a waterproof cast, but I mean, it was a double break. So I was in a full cast up to my arm. So there was nothing I could do with this. So 3 weeks after I got my cast off, I classed back up with the class. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times we were doing push-ups. I'll never forget.
Oh my God, dude.
Probably a week or less than a week after we had classed back up and I classed back into dive phase. They had us doing the old push-up circle, where everybody's got their legs up on the shoulders of the guy in front of you, and you're all trying to do push-ups. I thought my arm was going to break off. It was so painful. Oh my God! And I was just like, "Suck it up, bro!" Like,
you
either got to make it, because it was It was what 4 weeks after I'd gotten my
which
cast
is not
off.
nearly enough time.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
I mean, the bone was strong enough, but the muscles.
We're atrophied.
Yeah, we're atrophied. So, but it was good. It was
overcoming adversity.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Yeah,
it's a good tale of overcoming adversity.
Yeah. So furthering an overcome mindset.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely. You definitely overcame that, man. I don't know if I could have done the same. That's pretty brutal. Breaking your arm in 2 places and then going through SEAL training.
Yeah.
Buds.
Well, thankfully they let me.
Yeah.
Because, they easily could have used it. And this happens at times in SEAL training. There are some guys that I've seen that are total studs, but the instructors don't like them. There's an attitude problem or things like that. And they won't just kick you out. They have to have a reason to kick you out when you go through
just
SEAL
find
training.
one.
They will find. Well, if you give them one, they will take it.
Yeah.
So if I had been a poor student and that had occurred, it would have been the reason to get rid of me.
Yeah.
So I am thankful that they're
like,
and
let's
there
hang
have
on
been
to this
several
guy.
times in my career I have had leaders, for all of you out there who've messed up or made mistakes, here's to the leaders who took a chance on all of us and said, you know what, I believe in this guy.
Yeah.
So several times in my career I've had leaders that have done that have helped me.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to have some good leaders that looked after me as well throughout my time. Fortunate for those guys, because it's like, I mean, obviously, like the longer you stay in, you get exposure to both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
You don't really know what good leaders look like until you see the bad leaders, and then like years down the road, you're like, man, I'm grateful for both of them.
That's right.
I learned a lot from both of them. Yep. I am grateful for the ones that took care of me. I'm also grateful for the bad ones, because it taught me what not to do.
Or you can be like me. You became a bad leader.
Or you
you are humbled.
Yeah.
And have to do some soul searching and realize, wow, I lost my way.
Yeah.
And that gives you big perspective.
Yeah.
Into what it is. Like, okay, I don't want to be that again. So how do I rebuild myself? And that became part of the journey also.
Yeah. Well, being able to swallow that pride pill is a real tough challenge for a lot of guys, especially in guys in like communities where everybody's a type A personality guy, you know what I mean? And, everybody's like, alpha male, this beating your chest, you know what I mean? Hair on your chest. So that's a tough thing to do is be able to swallow your pride. But I mean, if you can work through that, I think that there's a lot of really good opportunities to learn because your mind is more open to learning, you know, whereas you can maybe be kind of walled off. At least for me, if I feel like the second I feel like I've made it or I've learned enough or I've done enough, I'll like stop trying to get better, or I'll stop learning, or I'll stop trying harder.
100%.
You know, and that's not good because then I get complacent. You know what I mean?
I feel like everybody needs, and people won't like to hear this, I feel like a lot of people, especially type A's, need a catastrophic failure in their life at some point, because what it will do is it will humble you for the rest of your life. Yeah. I've had a ton of success, and a lot of people are like, wow, you're very humble. Well, yeah, because I got broken from mistakes I made when I was younger rock bottom, that I had to climb out of that hole and come to grips with, hey, man, you were the cause of your problems. Your ego, your immaturity, all those things contributed to that. And if you don't want to be that again, and you understand that all of us in life are human, we're all going to make mistakes, we're all, then, keeps you humble.
Yeah. A lot of my problems that I had to learn hard lessons for were self-inflicted as well. Yeah. And most of them were from when I was younger, before I'd ever been a part of the, Department of War. I was a troubled youth, and I made a lot of poor decisions, and decisions have consequences. And sometimes those consequences are painful, but I needed to learn those painful lessons to make me into the person that I am today. Yep. And I've continued to learn lessons. There's definitely been hard lessons, even, into my adult years, that I've had to learn the hard way, because I typically like to run face first into brick walls before I learn that that's painful. For some reason,
you and I love the same leadership style. I don't know why. The same learning style.
Yeah. But I mean, when I learn them, it's like, okay, I've got it. Yeah. Got it. That hurt a lot. I don't want to do that again. I don't want to experience that again. And so I'll do things this way now, so I can relate to that, especially when I was younger, because, I had to learn the hard way. I just had to learn the hard way. And I did, and some of it involved law enforcement, and some of it, involved some other painful lessons. But, I always think to myself, I wouldn't change the past that I've experienced, even though I don't like who I was at that time, because I wouldn't be the person I am today, if I didn't experience those things. Agreed. I think it's had a big impact on my personality, my moral compass, the way that I carry myself, my character. So there's a lot of value in that stuff that I think have been important, and it's been important shaping me, who I am as a man today. So
I agree. I think I've often said the bad things teach us so much more than the success.
Yeah.
The success is just double down on, even if you're doing things wrong and you're successful, you're going to double down on the path you're on. The screw ups and the pain points are the things that make us take a step back and usually learn from.
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, like, painful memories are things that I retain much easier than things I won in, because like it's easy for me to forget some of the positive things that I have in my life because I become ungrateful. Yep. Or I become self-centered or selfish. But painful experiences, oh, poor me, or like, oh, why did this happen, or that was awful. Because human beings are inherently selfish, and I have to actively work not to be. And I'm reminded of that every day, because I continue to make mistakes, and I have to continue to get better, because and we're human beings. You're going to keep screwing shit up occasionally here and there. But I do remember the painful things, because I'm like, whoa, I didn't like how that felt. Let's not do that again. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, I think that the key is, as long as and I've said this a million times probably before, I'm sure people are tired of hearing me say it, but it's like, remain teachable. Yeah. If you can remain teachable, no matter where you're at in your life, whether you're young, you're old, you're middle-aged, like, I think that you'll be okay. I think you'll be okay. Like, at least for me, like, I have to remain teachable. so I can continue to grow and continue to improve upon where I'm at, improve my fighting position. You know what I mean? Fill a sandbag or two, whatever it is, But anyway, so I'd like to get to know a little bit more about your story before service. Where did you grow up?
So I'm originally from Ohio. Go Bucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
A Bucks fan.
Diehard Ohio State fan.
What part of Ohio?
Close to Columbus, a little town called Coshocton, little tiny blip on the map.
Okay. Do you like Skyline chili?
I am, yeah. But I mean, we were young. I was young.
Okay.
So we left. And parents divorced.
Gotcha.
We, at a very young age, that kind of changed the dynamic.
Okay.
And my dad moved to, my dad was still in Ohio for a bit. They moved to Medina. We were in Medina. I bounced back and forth from my mom, who was in Columbus at that point.
Gotcha.
And then my dad moved to North Carolina, and I went with him.
To North Carolina?
Yeah. And
Okay.
then my mom moved to the Virgin Islands, and I started bouncing back and forth between the two of them. My dad went to South Carolina, so I spent some time in South Carolina. I think Georgia for a second.
Where were you in North Carolina?
Down below Fort Bragg.
Oh, really?
Lumberton.
Was your dad in the military?
Yes, my dad was Army, although he was in active duty many years ago. My dad was a airborne instructor and a black hat at Fort Campbell during Vietnam. He never went over to Vietnam.
Gotcha.
It's just kind of one of those things where, hey, we need instructors, so he was an instructor and a rigger.
Okay.
And that's how I found out about the SEAL teams.
Was from your dad?
Yeah, because SEALs all the way up until 2000, including myself, I went through Army Airborne School in 96 after I graduated training. So SEALs went through Airborne School all the way up until the war, until 2001, I'm sorry. When the war kicked off is when the Navy and the Army decided, one, SEALs are a pain in the ass, especially young, fresh SEALs straight out of buds, us included.
Yeah.
And the Army had finally had enough. And I remember I was at SEAL Team 4 like 99, 2000, and it was reverberating around the community that the Army had finally said, enough.
We're tired of you guys.
Yeah. They were making us send a SEAL to be a black hat instructor black hat, right? No, Rangers are the black hats. What's the airborne school? Are they red hats?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. Either way.
They were sending him to become an instructor to teach airborne school.
We had to send a SEAL to be an airborne instructor and also to corral the SEALs straight out of butts.
Okay.
And no one wanted to do it.
Of course
And I
not.
remember they picked a guy from SEAL Team 4, and he was the guy that was going in 2000.
How butthurt was he?
Oh, bitter.
Oh, I bet he was
so bitter. Yeah.
Man.
And but when the war happened, everything kind of changed. And the Navy said, hey, you know what? We're going to take our guys over. We're going to run our own program. But back then, 60s, all the way through. So my dad knew who SEALs were.
Yeah.
And he told me when I was young, I'd always wanted to go in the military, fascinated with the military. All my family members had served. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather, actually fought with the French in World War II. So
no kidding.
My mom and my whole family was French in World War II. And my grandfather fought with them. After the war, they immigrated to Canada. So my mom didn't even learn English till she was 24 before she came into America and became a naturalized citizen.
Where did she meet your father?
She met, I don't know where she met my dad originally. I can't remember that story. My
Canadian
mom
citizen, though.
She was in America and had become a naturalized citizen when she met my dad.
Oh, makes sense.
So that had already happened.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I think she was 30 when I was born.
Okay.
Yeah. So, on my, so those were the stories I grew up listening to, my grandfather's stories, which were amazing.
Yeah.
An infantryman with the French.
Yeah.
On my dad's side, my paternal grandfather was a B-24 pilot who flew all through the European theater. All his missions, highly decorated, Distinguished Flying Cross, 7 air medals. I have a newspaper article of when he was shot down in the Kashakan Tribune, where we're from, highlighting him, that they had been shot down. I don't know why they didn't jump out. I have no clue. That doesn't really tell that story.
Yeah.
But he crash landed the B-24 in this snowfield in Yugoslavia, and everybody survived. And then they evaded back to Italy, the whole crew.
They got out.
Yeah. So he got the DFC for that.
You know that my grandfather's best friend, and funny enough, his name is Jack Friend. He passed away since then. His name was Jack Friend. Dude was an amazing pianist, by the way. Could play the hell out of a piano. Unfortunately, he got that disease that causes your fingers to get really like messed up. I can't remember what it's called, but he was a B-2 pilot in World War II, got shot down, I think, over Germany, and got captured as a POW.
Wow.
Spent some time as a POW. You know, I think about that sometimes. And your story about your family explaining that, I'm like, oh man, I hadn't thought about that in such a long time. And some of these guys' stories, I wish when I was when I was younger, I'd had the wherewithal to record these things, because it's like, bro, amazing pieces of history.
Yes.
Amazing. And it impacted me hearing those stories as a young boy, you know, and obviously like you hearing the stories impacted you as well. How old were you when you heard that story the first time?
Well, it was told by my dad. And then seeing it, because my grandfather passed away young.
Oh, before
I never
you were born?
got to meet him. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but I grew up hearing these stories about my grandfather and my dad. I pictures of him and in his army uniform, and you know, I wore that stuff, and pictures of him jumping out of airplanes, and he had an old DRMO parachute that I used to play with as a kid and put the gear on, and then my great uncle was shot down. So my grandfather, who was the B-24 pilot, his brother was a he fought in the Pacific Theater. I don't remember what aircraft he flew, but he was shot down and killed in the Pacific Theater.
Oh,
and I have the letter from Roosevelt, the condolence letter from Roosevelt to the family is at home.
Jeez.
So this is what I grew up like. So from a young age, that's all I wanted to do was be in the military. And
did you know that you wanted to be in like special operations or anything like that? Or
not at first. I wanted to be a pilot like my grandfather. I mean, the first Top Gun came out when I was like 11.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to be Maverick.
I want to be a cool guy like him.
Yeah, I want to be Maverick, man.
Yeah.
But I was also a child of the G.I. Joe generation.
Sure.
And Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow were super cool. Yeah, I was a really good swimmer. I didn't swim competitively, but having lived in the Virgin Islands and all the time I spent in the water down there, and my dad was like, "You're really good in the water. You should check out these guys. They're called Navy SEALs." He said they went through airborne school with me. So I remember researching it in the late 80s. You really couldn't find much. You know, the internet didn't exist. I know people find that hard to believe.
Yeah, but you couldn't just Google images of Navy
internet.
SEALs.
Yeah, none of that. And I started, what I could find was hardest training in the military, you know, Premier Maritime Special Operations Unit. And there was a guy in our church. He was the drummer, Ricky. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his last name. But Ricky was a avid special operation fan.
Okay.
And he had collected all kinds of stuff about all branches of special operations. And he actually had articles and magazines about the SEALs. And that was kind of the first time I had found stuff, and he shared it with me. And yeah, I was probably about 14. And I told my dad, I said, that's what I'm going to do. And man, I was a runt. Like, you know, I'm not a big guy. I'm, you know, 5'8", 170, soaking wet these days.
Yeah.
And back then, when I was 14, I was probably 4'11" and about 95. So anyone I said I was going to be a SEAL pretty much laughed me out of the room.
Yeah.
And I wasn't this tough kid. I wasn't this kid that grew up doing martial arts or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I was a kid that was driven, and I said, okay, well, I guess if I want to be a SEAL, I got to start doing hard things. Yeah. So I didn't play any, I played very little sports. I dabbled in a little bit of basketball, figured out I didn't like that. Dabbled in some baseball, figured out I didn't like that. Love football. I love football, although my dad would never let me play. because I was too small.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was concerned you'd get injured or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but at 14, I don't know that, you know, the little freedom muscles, you know, we're starting to grow.
Yeah.
And I told my dad, I said, I'm going out to the football team. I don't care what you tell me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, 100-pound soaking wet Jason Redman went out for the football team, and thankfully our junior high had a really small football team, and they let me come on.
Did they really?
Yeah, and,
Okay.
and I got my ass kicked on a regular basis. I remember the very first time, kid by the name of Kevin Lowry. He was either our center or one of the defensive tackles, probably 225, just a thick Lumbee
boy.
Indian. We had a lot in Lumberton, North Carolina. They had the Lumbee tribe.
Okay.
And he was a member, Lumbee Indian, and I remember, come here, Redman, let me show you what it feels like to get hit. And I was like, Roger that, let's go. And I got down. He hit me so hard, he knocked all the snot out of me. It literally like cleared the blue snot all over myself.
Oh my
Saw
God.
stars. But I knew that I couldn't back down. I had to get back up. They were like, you ready to do it again? I was like, yep. So I was never a star player. You know, I learned a lot about both taking a beating and also being on a team and trying to contribute where I could. The next year I went out for the wrestling team. I started wrestling, and go figure, once again, I learned how to take a beating because our state champion, I wrestled at 112, and our state champion and his brother wrestled 119 and 112, and his brother was like an alternate state champion. So the two guys I wrestled day in and day out were North Carolina state champions. They whooped my ass.
Oh, Jesus.
But once again, it was, okay, well, hey, this is good. This is teaching me to be hard. This is teaching me to take a beating, which I figured this is good.
Yeah.
So I just drove forward and worked out, and you know, those were the things that I did. And I was smart enough. My family was a little dysfunctional.
Whose family isn't dysfunctional is the real question.
Well, we were probably more dysfunctional than others. And
Some more,
unfortunately
yeah.
started butting heads. I had left my mom. My mom was still, my mom was living in Florida at that point.
Okay.
And I was with my dad in North Carolina and was really starting to butt heads with him. My oldest sister had been kicked out the year prior. And I ended up getting myself kicked out at 17, right at the very beginning of my senior year.
What did she get kicked out for?
Same thing, for butting heads and
Just general disagreements.
yeah, you know, my dad and stepmom were pretty strict, and you know, yeah, so we kind of pushed back against that a decent amount.
Like you talking about like curfews and stuff like that, or
all of the above. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we were a very strong Christian family. I didn't always. I pushed back against that at times, and the whole thing. So all of it led to me getting kicked out. It was about that same time. I remember I went to the recruiting station and told the Navy I want to join and be a SEAL. I was all of 115, maybe 120 at most.
How old were you?
Probably 16.
Okay, so you at 16, you went to the Navy recruiter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I knew I could enlist at 17 with a parent signature.
Oh,
And the recruiter that was in that office at that time in Lumberton, North Carolina, was this salty old boatswain's mate. And as a Marine, you know the boatswain's mates. For anybody out there who doesn't know a boatswain's mates are the sailor in the Navy.
The sailor.
Yeah, they are. And this guy was like Popeye, like a bad version of Popeye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And covered in tattoos, just crusty as all get out. And as soon as I walked in there and said I wanted to be a SEAL, he was like, you're not SEAL material. He's like, they don't want you.
Yeah.
You understand these guys are like superheroes and you're a runt. He's like, get out of here and stop wasting my time. He said, if you actually want to do something in the Navy that you can do, come back and talk to me later. So I would come back again like the next month and this guy would chase me out of there. So finally I got irritated. And the Army was watching this happen. All the recruiters were in the same little common area.
Same building?
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the Army recruiters was like, hey man, I heard you wanted to be a SEAL. How'd you like to be an Army Ranger? And I was like, well, I'm familiar with the Rangers, you know, maybe I could do that instead.
Yeah.
So I decided to go down that path. and went to the did everything to get me set up to become an Army Ranger. Went to MEPS, and they disqualified me for the airborne physical because when I was a kid, I had ruptured my eardrum, and they had rebuilt it.
Oh.
So when the doctor looked in there, they saw scar tissue, and they just automatically assumed I couldn't equalize. So they disqualified me.
Wow.
So the Army was like, well, you don't have to be an airborne ranger. You can do something else. And I was like, no, that's not it. That ship doesn't sail, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave and I'm going to figure something else out. So it actually was a blessing in disguise. I knew I had dove in the Virgin Islands. I knew I could equalize.
Yeah.
So I had to go to an ENT, get him to look at it, clear me. I had a letter at this point. This probably took 6 months. I'm now, turning 17 or so. Or maybe I was already 17 because I wouldn't have been able to do MEPS.
Okay.
But took that back. And at that time, there was a new recruiter in the Navy office by the name of Petty Officer Henry Horn.
Henry Horn.
So
you went back to the Navy office.
I saw him and he said, hey man, I was going back to the Army, but Henry Horn was like, hey man, I know who you are. You're the young kid that wants to be a SEAL. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, come on, let me help you. And man, Henry Horn walked me through, told me everything I needed to do to get to SEAL training. And I owe my career to Henry Horn. Several years ago, I've been looking for him for years.
Shout out to Henry Horn.
Big shout out to, I think he finished as a chief. So Chief Horn, big shout out to you. But I met him. He lives outside Raleigh, North Carolina.
No kidding.
And I went and had dinner with him. I brought him a signed copy of my book. And I just said, thank you, man. I would not be here if it wasn't for you.
That's freaking cool. How did you track him down?
I was doing a big podcast. And I think it was the Sean Ryan show.
Okay.
And someone reached out to me and said, hey, man, I know Henry Horn. I'd like to connect you with him. And that's
freaking
how I got
cool,
connected.
man.
Yeah.
See that? So there's a lot of negative sides to social media, as we all know. But that right there is one of the positive sides.
Yes.
Reconnecting people. I think that's super valuable.
There's one other one out there. I'm going to bring it up for every podcast. It was my creative writing teacher in high school, who I never would have written any books, or I never would have written if it wasn't for her. And my God, I have her name in the back of the book, and I can't think of it right now. Mrs. Martin.
Mrs. Martin?
My creative writing teacher from Boca High, Mrs. Martin, who created a lifetime love of writing and poetry. Mrs. Martin, I probably never would have started writing about this journey I walked if it hadn't been for your class.
So if Mrs. Martin sees this video by random chance, please, or if somebody knows Mrs. Martin, who is a creative writing teacher, please
she was a creative
let
writing
us
teacher
know
in Florida,
the comments.
and the last I heard, she went to Canada.
Went to Canada?
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, if anybody out there knows her, tell us in the comments so we can forward that information over to Jason.
I would appreciate it.
Yeah. So creative writing teacher encouraged you to write. How many books have you written now?
4.
4 books.
Yep.
Okay. Over the course of how many years?
3 books in a journal,
3 books in a journal?
Yeah.
And you wrote all of them yourself?
No, I worked with people. I mean, I am a writer. Here's the thing about writing that's interesting. I'm a good writer.
Yeah.
When you meet, so when I wrote the Trident, I had written the majority of it on my own.
Okay.
Probably 75% of the book at that point. But what was happening, I wrote the Trident while I was going through all my surgeries. And as I started to recover and was going back to work, it was getting harder and harder to do it. The Trident actually became like my over 40 surgeries over 4 years. And I would write during my recovery periods.
Because you were stuck in a bed anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And what happened was it was getting stalled and really nothing was happening. So Marcus Luttrell, shout out to you, said, well, hey, let me introduce you to a friend of mine who is a book agent.
Okay.
Met him. And Marcus said, why don't you get somebody to help you write the book?
Yeah.
So that's how I got connected to.
When did you meet Marcus?
So I met Marcus the very first time right after he was recovered.
In 2005?
Red Wings, because that's our mission. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was my troop. So my boss was Lieutenant Commander Eric Christensen, who was killed when the helicopter was shot down. I wasn't in country when the helicopter was shot down. We were in Germany. It was our sister platoon that was on that helicopter who was
Extortion?
working with, no, that's the Red Wings helicopter. So Extortion would have been in 2011, which was the development group.
Okay.
Yeah. So Red
up.
Wings was 2005 in our troop, and we lost 19, including my boss. And I was originally in that platoon, Echo Platoon, which was Mike McGreevy was the OIC. I was the AOIC, but I got moved to our sister platoon. And then we lost Jock Fontaine, Jeff Lucas, and Jeff Taylor, who were all part of my troop.
Because it was a CH-47, correct?
Yeah. No, it was a MH-47.
MH-47.
160th.
Okay, the 160th, because they call them MH-47s with the 160th.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's how I met Marcus the very first time. When the helicopter was shot down, several of us headed to Landstuhl when we knew that Marcus had been recovered, and Danny Dietz and Mike Murphy's body were flying home with Marcus.
Okay.
And there were guys that were escorting. We met up with them. Myself and some guys stood watch while those guys took a break. And then we met and we got to hear kind of the full story of how everything had unfolded. And that's the first time I ever met Marcus.
And that was in 2005?
Yep.
Yeah, because Red Wings when did it actually go down? Was it November?
June 28th, 2005.
June 28th.
Yep. And Extortion was August 6th, 2011.
Okay, I don't know what. When I hear Extortion, it makes me think of CH-47.
Well, it was.
Right, and for some reason I always confuse those two.
Extortion was a CH-47. It was I can't remember it wasn't a 160th. It wasn't a task force bird, because what happened is just the way things unfolded.
Yeah.
The Rangers were in a tick. Our guys ended up heading out. We didn't have any TF platforms, so we
used what you had.
Birds. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people want to debate that, but at the end of the day, in combat, we do what needs to be done to get the mission done.
Yeah. Well, I don't personally know because I've never been in combat, but from what my friends who have experienced combat said, they all say very similar things.
Yeah,
and it
was unfortunate. We never thought anything would happen again to the level of what we saw with Red Wings.
Yeah.
Like to lose 11 SEALs and 8 special operations crewmen was the worst loss we had seen in the history of the SEAL team since World War II.
Awful.
But to have it happen again with Extortion was just terrible.
6 years later.
Yeah. And I was at that command when that happened.
Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I lost a lot of good friends on that helicopter.
And you knew them.
The guys
personally knew them.
Yeah. On both.
On both.
There were friends on both helicopter. Guys that I had grown up with, guys that I knew, guys I had served with.
When did you commission?
May 12th, 2004.
2004. Okay, so you were already an officer before that stuff.
Yep.
Any of that stuff happened.
So I came in. Believe it or not, my date of joining the military in high school was September 11th, 1992.
1992.
That is the day I joined.
I was in first grade, but I mean, it's okay. I was like an old man. I mean, I feel old now, but that's interesting. So you enlisted September 11th of 1992.
Yep.
You went finished to Buds 95, right?
Yeah. Finished my high school year. Right after high school, headed to boot camp. Went to boot camp. Went to A school in Virginia Beach in the early part of 93 to 94, I was in my A school.
Yeah.
And then Buds was backed up. So I had to wait because I finished in late spring 94. I finished my A school. And then I was waiting to get into my class for Buds. I was supposed to class up, I think, the end of summer. Yeah. And I wrecked my motorcycle in front of Lynn Haven Mall and broke my shoulder.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Man,
idiot.
You've just just getting beat up.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why I've got such an overcome mindset. I take beatings well. That's I am good at taking a beating, man. So I broke my shoulder, which delayed me going to Bud. So I rolled. I was supposed to start in class 197, and I ended up starting with class 200 in January of 95.
Wow.
So.
Okay. And then you were enlisted from 95 until 2004. For 9 years.
That's right.
And then 10 years.
Yep.
Commissioned. And then how many deployments did you do in your 21 years?
So I did 5 total.
5 across the whole
and
thing?
2 that were combat deployments.
Okay. The 2 that were combat deployments, one was in Iraq
And one
was in Afghanistan.
Yeah. Afghanistan 05, Iraq 07.
Okay. Afghanistan first.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It was a lot of other guys were saying that they did Iraq first and then Afghanistan second, but yours was switched or flopped. That's interesting. I didn't realize that. What was your Afghanistan deployment like?
So it was interesting because I'll be honest, what was happening, and I write about this in my book, politics always plays into war. That is the reality. It's go back to any book you read on war, all the way back to the Roman Empire, politics plays in. And what was happening was, even though we knew that there was a lot of enemy across Afghanistan, there was tremendous pressure from both the U.S. government and being driven by, I think, the ambassador and also by the Afghan government. To reduce, the fighting. Which understandable. As I'm older and I look back, I can appreciate it. The downside was there was a lull. The Taliban was smart enough to know, like, hey, let's release pressure and they'll stop. Let's get the Americans out of here and we can take back over. Which, go figure. 20 years later, they executed that strategy flawlessly. So what was happening was operations were slowing down. Even though we had, all kinds of mission packages developed for us to go execute against bad people.
You meant specific targets and things like that?
Yeah. So we arrived so when Red Wings happened, we arrived, so June 28th, we were in the process back then. What they were doing, a lot of units and the SEAL teams were doing something called rotate in place. So it was the goal of the SEAL teams to have all SEALs combat proven as quickly as possible. So they would break up deployments and also they kind of realized that 6-7 months for a deployment in combat is guys start getting
fatigued.
Right. So they said, why don't we split it? And they do this rotate in place because there were other mission requirements we had. For us, we were in Germany standing the maritime interdiction operation. We would do training and working with European forces, but we were also on standby if there was shipboarding things that needed to happen in that area of the world. We could be on standby to go do that.
Okay.
And then we were a troop. And they decided to chop one platoon to Afghanistan for the first part, and the second platoon we would rotate.
Okay.
So we were less than a week from that rotation happening when Red Wings occurred. We were already packing up to get ready to go to Afghanistan when the helicopter got shot down. So several of our guys, our chief, maybe somebody else, flew to Afghanistan immediately. He was involved on the recovery missions. We got in, we packed everything up, and we got into country. I'm like I said, I met Marcus for the first time. Michael Murphy and Danny Dietz had been recovered. Axe still had not been recovered. So when we landed in Afghanistan, the recovery operations for Axe were still ongoing. It would be 3 days from the time we got into Afghanistan before they recovered Axe.
Where did you guys land at?
Bagram.
At Bagram?
Yeah,
okay.
So we were operating out of Bagram.
Okay.
They finally recovered Axe, and that was the very first, for 3 days, we were just kind of on standby waiting because our sister platoon was out conducting operations. So we were just finding a place to sleep because typically there should be a rotation. We would take their rooms, they would leave. Yeah. But instead there became this overlap. And the very first thing that happened was the ramp ceremony for Axe and then the memorial, because they hadn't even had the memorial for all the guys we lost. So that was the very first thing. That was like my introduction to combat. Welcome to combat. We're going to bury and send off 11 of our brothers. Which was crazy and surreal. But then you
had a memorial ceremony there at Bagram?
Yeah.
And how was that?
A little overwhelming. If you think about it, we were honoring 19 individuals. So it was at the JSOTF, the Joint Special Operation Task Force, command.
Yeah.
Because we were honoring both the SEALs and the task force Army guys. They lost 8 guys on that helicopter.
Yeah.
So it was very long. Because we were going through every guy, and I remember, we had for the SEALs, the combat cross is kind of our fins with a mask and the weapon behind and the helmet with nods, and then so you had 19 of these out front honoring these guys with the pictures, and then all the guys got up and told stories, and that was all great, but very surreal. I had not been into combat yet. I had been exposed when I was in Colombia. I was in a base that took some fire, and we thought we were going to be overrun. So that was kind of my first introduction to combat. And in Colombia, there were definitely some hairy times where you had the FARC running around and still left over from the counter narcotic stuff.
Yeah.
But this was kind of the first time that we had lost guys in training. I had never lost anybody that I served closely with. Like these guys I'd worked, man, hand in hand. I mean, Eric Christensen was my boss. Mike McGreevy was a friend. I was in that platoon, and I don't know, they moved me. But, so we all wanted payback, needless to say.
Yeah.
And everything kind of came to a grinding halt. So we were there in Bagram, and we kept submitting mission requests, and we were denied, and we were denied, and we were denied. So for almost a month, so you talk about morale being low, like all we wanted to do was get out and operate to try and avenge our brothers. And they're probably, looking back on it, I mean, at a strategic level, I'm sure they recognize that, like the SEALs are going to be a wrecking crew. Like they're going to go out and kill everyone. And maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know. We wanted to do something.
Wanted retribution for all your friends being killed.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's tough. And I can see it there, probably the top. They're probably like,
we need to let some time.
Yeah, we need to let some steam off. Yeah, a
Yeah.
little decompression. But man, I can't imagine the way that you guys felt like with all of your friends that were involved in such a large amount at one time too. Like that's a lot, man.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
to add insult to injury, and I'll probably need to back up. There's a part of my story. I mean, we've talked about it. I was young. I was younger. I developed late, I would say, with my maturity as a leader.
Yeah.
And sometimes success leads to arrogance. And I think that's I graduated #1 out of my ROTC, out of the largest ROTC consortium when I was commissioned.
Okay.
So I came back, thinking I was going to be, the patent for the SEAL teams or something. I'm going to be an admiral someday for sure.
Yeah.
And came into my first platoon as a junior officer, and some interesting dynamics. Me and the chief did not get along at all. So I was in Echo Platoon. I got along great with those guys. The leadership decided to move me into Foxtrot because we had a very junior OIC and a real bullheaded's a strong word, but a very strong chief. And they thought that I would be a good balance between the two, but it didn't really work out that way. Me and the chief just butted heads.
Oh, okay.
Big time. And
this is Team 4, right?
Team 10.
Team 10, sorry.
Yeah, I was at Team 10 then.
Team 10, okay.
Yeah, so it just led to, and I didn't handle it well. I should have done better. Instead, it created a lot of friction and problems, and I was probably more immature in how I dealt with it. And one of the things I did, I went back to my E6 enlisted days and just drank myself stupid with the guys, which only damaged my credibility more. So the reason I tell this leads up to us going to Afghanistan and all of this happening, and started the downfall of me getting in trouble more, that culminated with a bad call on a mission several months later. So here we are, we're in Afghanistan, we're wanting to go out and operate, and finally we got approved to go do a mission.
Yeah.
There was a Taliban commander that was living outside Bagram that had been rocketing the base on a regular basis. And finally the base said, okay, we've had enough of this. Let's send some guys out to get this guy. It was a nighttime raid, flew in, fast rope onto a target, dual breaches. There were 2 compounds kind of next to each other, and we executed great. For my first combat mission ever. So nighttime, fast rope, dual breach, everything you ever dream of.
Yeah.
And we took the target down and we got the guy. And we red-handed. We found IED making components, mortar components, explosives, initiators, all of this, wrapped all these guys up. And put them on a helicopter, flew back to Bagram. Well, all the villagers, so this is where the politics were starting to come in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
They wanted us to start conducting, prior to this, something called soft knock operations, where we would alert the villagers that we were going to go take a target down 24 hours in advance. We had to alert the village elders. And then we could only come in the daytime. We had to knock and let them know we're here. It was the dumbest thing ever. Yeah.
What?
So needless to say.
That's how people get killed.
Well, needless to say, we weren't doing that.
No.
We didn't do that. But
that's crazy. Who's asking you to do that?
It came from above, obviously.
Yeah.
And was being pushed down on the military to execute.
Wow.
So the general had basically said, hey, I need approval. There needs to be justification for any nighttime raids, breaching, fast roping, all this. Well, the general apparently was on leave when that mission got approved.
Okay.
So when we captured, I think his name was Hamidullah. When we captured Hamidullah and his crew, it created a shitstorm. Like all the villagers rioted, turned into, I had flown away with him and the bad guys we had captured on target, but our ground force was engaged by the crowd. So they were shot at. They drove back to the Bagram. Everybody followed.
They drove back to Bagram.
They drove back because our mobility package had locked down the target around. So now they were driving back. Thousands of people followed them back to Bagram and tried to storm the gates.
Oh,
yeah, you can go back and
God.
This would have been June or July 2005. It was national. We were watching it on the news.
It was national news.
Oh yeah, they were trying to break the gates down.
Oh,
and they wanted
man.
Hamidullah released. And we're basically saying, the Americans are rogue or whatever it is. So here was this guy that we had intel package, bad guy, Taliban commander, caught him red-handed, shot at our people. No one was injured or anything, but shot at our people when we left. And it turns out that he was friends with Karzai. Red flare went up.
He was friends with Hamid Karzai.
That went to Karzai, and within 24 hours, we had to release all of them. And we got, the general was furious that mission had gotten approved.
Wow.
Obviously, it created this big international incident. So we were placed into hack. We were told, you're not allowed to operate. So
oh my God,
we go an entire month trying to operate, and then a whole nother month that we're not allowed to operate. And this is where I got myself in trouble. So after 3 weeks, morale is even lower.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
We're in the cafeteria with several, we're just in there eating in the DFAC.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with some teammates, and one of them is that guy that likes to poke and
mess with you.
Yeah. And the general, the not the senior general, but the second down general in charge of operations in Afghanistan happened to be sitting like across from us, 2 tables. And I'll never forget, man. John goes, Red, you don't have a hair on your ass if you don't go ask the general when he's going to let us go operate again. And, young Jason Redman, ensign, frustrated, was like, that's a good idea.
Oh, no. You went and talked to the assistant base commander or something
the assistant, not even the base commander. He was the second in command of General Kamiya, I think his name was.
Kurilla?
Kamiya? Yeah, 2005. He was a 1-star, maybe a 2-star, because the 3-star at that time was Eikenberry.
Okay.
No, I remember that because he went on to be ambassador.
Yeah.
Later. But anyways, I went up to General Kamiya and, tried to be polite and respectful. As an ensign. As
an 0102.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
So needless to say, he was polite to me, but I could tell when I looked over at his aides, they were looking at me like I had a dick growing out of my forehead.
His aides are probably like full bird colonels, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, What are you doing, ensign?
That's right.
It's like if a lieutenant.
And
What are you doing, lieutenant?
I thought I was so smart and bold. And I went back and the guys were like, "You're an idiot." And I went back to my commanding officer and said, "I think I screwed up."
You told him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Fess up quick, right? Yep. Immediately. Yep.
And but it was a culmination of dumb things, drinking, poor decision making as a leader. This was a poor decision, so it was just this pattern.
Yes,
and the pattern culminated with a bad call on a mission in southern Afghanistan. So fast forward maybe 6 weeks, I think in August, we got approved to fly down to Kandahar and base out of Kandahar. There was a lot happening in Helmand. So they
2006 or 5? 5 still?
Okay. Yeah. And especially with all the soft knot craziness, our admiral said, "I'm not going to commit my guys to that. We own the night. I'm not going to risk my guys."
Yeah.
So we went down to Kandahar.
At least he had your back for that.
He did. Well, it was Bill McRaven. He was the 1-star in charge of the SEALs then, and so he said, "No, I'm not going to risk my guys. We're not going to play this game."
Yeah.
So we went down to Kandahar and started operating out of there. And on a mission to clear this valley, I made a bad call. We were clearing a valley. We locked down this valley. I was running a javelin crew, sniper crew, and a machine gun crew up on top of this valley. And we had an assault team that was pushing through the valley, clearing it. And they got into multiple ticks throughout the gunfights throughout the day. That culminated with this lasted all day. We inserted early in the morning, probably around 4 a.m.
How many of you?
This was a large operation. It was a joint operation with some other force. I don't know if I can.
That's fine. Sure. Like another group of folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's like a lot of people there.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of us. Probably 80.
Yeah.
Total.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. It was a very big operation. Okay. So I ran part of my a fire team of my platoon that had the javelin snipers and a machine gun, or machine gunner. And as the day wore on, as they were pushing through the valley, they got into a big gunfight. We knew we had a hard extract. We knew they had told us, "Hey, man, helicopter flow across Afghanistan. If you guys aren't out by this hard time, we don't have helicopters to come get you.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be stuck." So we had already started to push everybody back to the south to relink up, but I was acting. I was one of the only ones, or our team was one of the only ones that had comms. Just because of the terrain, this ridgeline we were on was probably 2,000 feet above the valley floor.
Oh wow!
So the angles it worked out that where I was gave me the best comm. So I was relaying with the guys on the ground back to our ground force commander, and they got into another big tick, and one of our Afghans was hit. We had Afghan force also.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
so I had already sent back all our guys. It was just me and our machine gunner that were sitting on this ridge line when they got into this gunfight. And my OIC said, "Hey, we need immediate reinforcements." So I decided, like, "Oh, well, I'm closest. I got a machine gun, so let's go." Probably not the best decision. And this is where it became a collision point. So I called back and said I was going to do that. Well, who happened to be working with the ground force commander? My platoon chief, that we did not get along. And he was like, "No, you're not. You're not going in that valley." And this is where ego and professionalism got in my way. Because instead of going, "Well, why? Let's discuss this," I was like, "Screw you. You're not the boss of me. I'm going to make this call." And really, it was driven because I had yet to be in a gunfight, not directly, periphery. And so this was driven by, "Hey, man, I have an opportunity to be the hero here. Like, I can go down and save these guys. I got a machine gun. We're going to go down and lay down some fire and get in this fight."
Yeah.
And I did. I said, "Hey, man, I'm going. Like, these guys need help." So we dropped in, which was such a stupid decision. What I didn't know, and if I had waited a minute to get some guidance, they were spinning up a CAS mission.
Oh.
So when I made the decision to take myself and my machine gunner down into that valley, it stalled that CAS mission because now they didn't know where everybody was. We had 2 friendlies who are now moving, and they didn't know. So, and when we dropped off, we lost comms.
Okay, so two bad things happened.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I delayed their ability to call CAS. Now we have multiple maneuvering elements, which is always bad.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky, like, what an idiot I was. I mean, we knew that there were fighting positions and caves riddled throughout this place.
Yeah.
It would have been so easy for us dropping into this valley to miss one of those things that a Taliban crew could have popped out and said, oh, I got these two idiots moving down and smoke checked us.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, thank God. By the time we got to the bottom, we got comms again. And my task force commander, who was our executive officer, so Eric Christensen was our task force commander, killed in Red Wings. So the XO of our SEAL team flew out to take Eric's position. So he was the acting ground force commander. And he's screaming fire into the radio, get your fucking ass out of the valley. Like, we're trying to call a fire mission. And I was like, holy shit. Okay, roger that. And we scampered up the north wall of the valley.
So you bounced out as soon as you heard his voice.
Yep. I knew, like, I messed up.
Oh, wow. And he was screaming it.
Oh, fire.
Oh, man.
So we climbed out, got to the north wall. They sent a 60 to pick us up to regroup with the guys. And then they ended up calling in the fire missions to support and pull these other guys out of the valley. I knew immediately I'd screwed up, but once again, pride. So by the time I relinked, he was like ripping into me. And instead of owning it at that point, and what I should have just said is, you're right, I screwed up. I didn't. I pushed back. There were some other missions that had occurred where an individual moved down to support guys. And I used that as an example. Like, hey, I did exactly what this guy did. Hey, not the same thing. Either way, the fact that I pushed back against it really, I think, was the
piss him off.
Yeah, was the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, all these things had added up. And when we were stuck, by the way, we were stuck out there for 3 days because we didn't have the extract. So,
because you weren't able to get out of there
in
time.
So for 3 days, we were above this, this large Taliban fighting position that was down in the valley. So we were just hitting it with airstrikes. And finally, even at one point, all the A-10s were empty. So they were just doing they were just buzzing to keep them down. So 3 days we were out there. We finally flew back. No one talked to me. Yeah, like I got the cold shoulder of all cold shoulders. Yeah. So by the time we got back to Kandahar, the XO was like, I'm flying you back to Bagram. You're going to go meet the commanding officer. Like, yeah, I want you out of here.
Oh, wow.
So I flew back to Bagram. And dude, you talk about rock bottom. I mean, to be told in our community that, that we don't trust you and you're dangerous, and to send you back to the rear from the front, like, is the biggest, like, bro, I was
humbling,
yes, although I still was, it hadn't sunk in yet. Like, I knew I'd messed up, but I was fighting against it. I was trying to justify it. I was playing the victim, is what I told people. Like, I'm the victim. Like, my chief doesn't like me, so he's using this against me. Like, hey, I ran to the sound of the guns, man. I went down in the valley to support the guys. Like, when is that ever wrong? So I was trying to justify it in my mind. I was trying to justify it, anybody would listen, and no one would listen. But I was the victim. Got back to Bagram, and my CO was like, hey, I'm not going to deal with this until the guys get back. I want to hear everything, so stand by. So I think a couple of days went by before they flew back. And that evening, I stood in front of them, and, my commanding officer, command master chief, executive officer acting as the ground force commander, my chief, all our senior leadership was there. And basically we're like, Redman has displayed continued bad decision-making. He's a drunk. He's an impulsive, dangerous leader. He put everybody's lives at risk in that valley. You should kick him out and take his Trident.
Damn, they were saying they wanted to take your Trident.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So the CO listened to everything. And here's like kind of an amazing thing. If you think about this, Red Wings had happened only a few months earlier.
Yeah.
And remember, I said none of us got to go home. And our commanding officer, who is a friend to this day and an amazing guy, because he saved my career, like, it would have been so easy to say, I don't want to deal with this. Like this, I guarantee that was the most emotional, impactful deployment. I mean, to be in command and lose all those guys, was brutal. And
this is an 05 commander.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can only imagine, like, and everybody was pressuring him to like kick me out.
Yeah.
And it would have been the easiest thing for him to say, you know what, I don't have time to deal with this knucklehead.
Sure, I'll just sign off on it.
Yeah, you know what, go home, Redman.
Yeah,
get out of the Navy. But he didn't. But I got to back up, because that he said, I need a night to think about this. Come back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I'm going to let you know what my decision is.
God, that must have been a stressful night, man.
Well, that was the night I almost took my life. I won't lie. I went back to my room. I sat in the chair and I was like, my life is over. Tomorrow they are going to take my Trident. How did I get here? Like, I don't think I want to live if this happens. Like, I was ashamed and disgraced. Beside myself. And I remember,
that's demoralizing.
I was sitting in my room, and we have all our weapons.
Yeah.
I took out my gun and I put it in my mouth, and I was going to just end it. And as I had it in my mouth, there was a picture of my kids, my wife and my kids. They were 2005. My son would have been 6. My youngest would have been 3, and my middle would have been 3, and my youngest would have been 1. And I hadn't been around them hardly at all,
Yeah.
So, and like God I feel it's God, smacked me in the back of the head and was like, what are you doing? Like, what message do you send to them if you take your life in Afghanistan? Like, what does your wife tell your kids?
Yeah.
So it was kind of a wake-up call. I was like, I need some help. So put my pistol away, went and sought out the Special Force chaplain, and met with him, who happened to be if I remember correctly, how I remember this, I think he used to be a Green Beret and then became a chaplain. So, I mean, he was a seasoned dude, and he listened to everything. And then he goes, okay, so let me understand this correctly. Like, you messed up. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, and tomorrow they may kick you out. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, tomorrow. And I said, yeah. And he goes, tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, tomorrow. And he goes, tomorrow at 8 a.m. And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm starting to feel like you're an idiot. Yeah.
Anything?
What are you trying to tell me here?
What are you getting at, man?
And he goes, but you were going to kill yourself tonight. He said, that seems a little premature, don't you think? And I was like, all right.
Damn.
Case in point.
Okay.
He said, you don't even know the outcome of what's going to happen. He said, God works in mysterious ways. He said, no matter what, tomorrow is the end. It's the end. It could be the end of your career, but it's the end of this part of your life. Because guess what? No matter what, tomorrow's a new beginning. It's either going to be a new beginning for you to go figure out how to be a better leader if they give you a second chance, or it's going to be a new beginning for a new path for you. But no matter what, that's what's happening tomorrow. So I went back and didn't sleep a wink. And the next day at 8 a.m., my commanding officer, who, like I said, I owe my career to this guy, because I guarantee everyone was pressuring. He told me, I've hung out with him. I was literally just at his house a month ago in where he lives.
Yeah.
And he's told me, like, everybody was pressuring him to get rid of me. And
what was his reasoning why he didn't?
He had seen me do good things, and he believed that he believed everybody deserves a second chance. And he believed, because, he didn't just let me off. I mean, he put specific structure in place. So what happened was, he said, I'm not going to kick you out of the SEAL teams, but here's what's going to happen. He said, you guys have done a number of combat operations. You will receive no awards from this deployment. All awards are rescinded. He said, and he pulled out a piece of paper. He said, this is an official letter of reprimand. If this was to go in your officer record, your career would be over. He said, instead, this letter is going to go in my safe. I'm going to brief the oncoming commanding officer of what happened to you. He said, you're going to do another platoon as a second officer in charge. And he said, if you're not exemplary, which I know you have the ability to do, this record will come out of the safe and go on your record and end your career. And he said, and the last thing you're doing when you get home, you're going to U.S. Army Ranger School. He said, I think you need something to humble you and remind you of what it is to be a leader. He said, Ranger School is a leadership school. I think it'd be good for you.
Oh, wow.
So, and I'd love to tell you, I walked out of there going, I dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I still was kind of bitter. I mean, I was thankful, but I was bitter. I still kind of had the victim mindset. And so I'll just say it took quite a few months for it to sink in. And that's why I'm not even going to bring the name up. I'm just going to say we were talking about somebody that messed up earlier in the amount of heat that people are piling. I think sometimes when we mess up in life, even if it's a big mistake, it takes a while for us to own it and really peel the onion back from who we are and come to understand, like, I'm the one that caused this problem. Yeah. And I think that's the same case with that individual. I kind of feel that way. Yeah. And that was the same for me. Yeah. I needed kind of a while I came home.
You need to stew on it a little bit.
I had to stew on it. And it was with time. But although there was another rock bottom moment before I finally kind of came to grips with you're the problem. Yeah. And that was, I got to Ranger School February. So I'd only been home for a couple of months. Headed off to Ranger School. I was bitter because in 2005, even though, we weren't quite where we are with technology today, we had sat phones. I was able to talk to my family on a fairly regular basis. That's cool. At Ranger School, you go back to boot camp. Like, there is no communication. Yeah. Letters. That's it. So my wife's angry at me. I'm angry.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Navy SEALs went to Ranger School.
So prior to 9/11, all of our junior officers went to Ranger School.
Really?
Yep. Because prior to 9/11, the Army really ran SOCOM and was the front runner of all special operations.
Oh, okay.
After 9/11, the whole landscape changed. Everybody kind of became equivalent, and now there's a great, it became much more purple after 9/11. Yeah. And the SEALs stopped sending our guys just because, and we weren't in combat back then. Ranger School takes a toll on your body. Yeah. And it's a big time commitment. So
it's 90 days, right?
It's
3
60
months?
Days, a little longer, give and take. Yeah, they took it used to be desert phase is no longer.
Oh, they took the desert. So you're just doing swamp and mountain, right?
You do Benning, woodland, mountain, and maritime swamp.
In Florida or something like that?
It used to be desert was also included.
Oh, okay.
But now they still send guys to Ranger School, but oftentimes, the running joke is, get in trouble, go to Ranger School.
Oh, damn. That is the worst punishment I can think of. Like, you're going to go suffer for 60 whatever days out in these areas. Because everybody goes to Ranger School and they lose like 15 to 30 pounds while they're there because you're not eating any food because you're just getting like 1 MRE a day.
That's right.
That's what people have told me.
Well, they give you 2.
Oh, they give you 2?
But here's the funny thing. Yeah, because the Army was complaining that their guys were too wrecked. So Ranger School said, okay, well, we'll give them 2 MREs instead of 1. But what happens is they give them both to you within a 4-hour window. So you go 20 hours without food.
Oh my God.
And man, you just consume like 3,000 calories. So it was almost like a task to try and eat your second MRE. You would get both of them in the nighttime. So we would wrap up, build our mission support site, dig your fighting positions. You'd eat your nighttime meal, and then we'd get up before we broke camp, and they'd give you another meal. You're like, fuck, I just ate 3,000 calories like 2.5 hours ago.
Oh,
so
God.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny how they do that. But I will tell you this. It was great for me, but I showed up bitter. I failed the land nav course. It's a whole nother story.
Oh, wow.
I don't know where we want to go, if you want me to tell this story or not.
Yeah, let's hear it. What happened to the land nav?
So I was bitter about being at Ranger School. I still hadn't grown up and accepted it. I saw it as punishment instead of an opportunity to grow and embrace and be like, hey, here's a good opportunity for me to crush this and come back. Instead, I was just kind of bitter. And Wednesday morning was the land nav course. And, we were up at like 3 a.m., a little known fact, Fort Benning, Georgia. You think Georgia, like it's going to be nice. It is brutally cold in Georgia and Fort Benning in the winter. It was nasty cold. Like it was so cold, my camelback froze. My camelback hose froze.
Wow.
Within like 30 minutes. And I was used in the SEAL teams, big boy rules plot. Like, hey, if you want to watch cap in a warmie, put it on.
Yeah.
Like, just be able to operate. Well, in Ranger School, you're back to boot camp scenario. So they dropped us off, and they were like, get rid of all your snivel gear. And I was just like, this is so stupid.
Oh, man.
So I'm bitter. I'm angry. I'm being a juvenile still.
Yeah.
Immature. And I start this land nav course at 4 a.m. and I taught land nav. Like, I was a good navigator.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wait till the sun comes up. I'm good enough to knock this out. Like, I know how good I am.
Yeah.
Sun comes up. I'm like, all right, let me smoke this land nav course now. And I didn't. It was too big. I was using the lensatic compass, which I was used to using a Silver Ranger. So you're having to do math. I wasn't used to that. You could just dial in your declination. So I failed. I didn't finish in time. So when I checked in, the Ranger instructors, good rivalry between the SEALs and Rangers. And yeah, they were laying it on me.
I'm sure.
And
what did they have? What did they say?
Oh,
you remember?
Yeah. Nice job, Swabby. Do you think you could have found it if you had a boat?
Oh, man.
We're not surprised. SEALs can't navigate. You guys aren't good in the woods, whatever it was. I mean, they were just laying it on me.
Okay.
And I, once again, allowed weak emotional leadership. Everything kind of bubbled up, and I was like, fuck you guys. And they were like, what? And I was like, screw you guys. And they were like, are you quitting? And I was like, yep, I'm done. I'm out of here. And they were like, roger that. Go get in the van. You're out of here. So I go jump in the van, and they take me back to base. And I'm like, you are a fucking idiot.
Oh,
like,
no.
you allowed this moment of emotional stupidity. And at that point, I just kind of resigned myself. Like, this is it. Like, you messed up too much. You'll never recover from this. Like, one of the things in the SEAL teams, you cannot fail a school.
Yeah.
And you cannot quit a school. Like, it's just kind of part of who we are.
Yeah.
So I knew that if that, like, already I'd messed up, like, that was a non-starter. I'd be done. So they told me I had to see the colonel before I left Ranger School. He had to debrief anybody who was leaving.
Yeah.
And I wasn't scheduled to see him to the next morning. So I called Erica that night and I said, hey, I think I'm coming home. I think this is over. I think I've screwed up. I guess I'm going to have to figure out a new path. So didn't sleep a wink. Next morning, meet him from the colonel, Colonel KK Chin, 75th Ranger guy, amazing guy, was on the jump into Panama, the 400-foot drop into Panama.
No kidding.
Yeah. And meet him and basically give him this sob story how I got thrown under the bus and,
no.
Yeah, ridiculous. And
so you weren't taking responsibility or accountability. You're just like saying, I'm getting screwed over. That's
correct.
why I'm here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
man.
Still very immature, still the victim mindset. And he listened. And to his credit, man, I appreciate him. He said, I tell you what, why don't you, he said, would you like to talk to anybody in your community? And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I do not want to talk to a single SEAL. Like, I was ashamed. Like, just process me out of the military. And he's like, well, I got a good friend. He's a really respected SEAL. And he like picks up the phone and dials it. And he's like, Vince, not his real name, Vince, hey, I got one of you guys here. You want to talk to him? And he like hands it to me and he goes, hey, it's Captain Vince Peterson. So Vince Peterson, not his real name for anybody in the SEAL teams, but they'll know who this guy is.
Yeah.
A legend in the SEAL teams. He was in charge of all East Coast SEALs at this time.
Okay.
He was my commanding officer at SEAL Team 4 who got me commissioned.
Okay, gotcha.
He was a former Marine who became a SEAL, who served at, he was 36 when he went through BUDS and crushed it.
36?
Beast. He was the type of guy that all of us. I would have followed that guy into hell.
He's out now, right?
Yeah, he's out.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
But he's like, you got to keep his name anonymous for reasons.
He is the quintessential, the deed is all, not the glory, and doesn't
want anyone to know.
And I always told, his name is out there. But
Okay,
I told him, I respect you.
And no, totally get it. Yeah, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with that. So he called you, or he talked to you on the phone.
KK Chin called him, and he happened to be on, what are the odds? Another God moment, because there was no one in the SEAL teams I wanted to talk to. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But I had so much respect for him, I could not take that phone call. So the mere fact that he happened, this 06 SEAL commander in charge of all East Coast SEAL teams happened to be at his desk in the moment. And I've talked to both of them since then.
Yeah.
And asked, hey, did you guys stage that? Did you plan that? And KK Chin was like, no, I just happened to call him. They had served together, I think at JSOC. So they knew each other real well.
That JSOC together, just two old heads that used to be operators back in the day.
So he hands the phone to me, and once again, I'm like, I got myself in trouble, and I got thrown under the bus, and all this BS.
Yeah.
And the good leader he is, he said, Red, do you really believe that? I was like, he said, do you really believe Ranger School is punishment? You don't see this as an opportunity to grow and learn something? I was like, And he's like, listen to me. He said, if you leave that school, he said, I will have you out of the military in less than a week. What are you going to do to take care of your family? And I said, well, sir, here's the problem. And I'll never forget this. This became the foundation of me growing up, and it is everything that I teach on leadership, everything that I've written about, how I recreated myself was built on this single conversation.
Jesus.
I said, sir, I've messed up too much. I said, no one will follow me again. I don't know how I can ever recover from this. And he said, listen to me. He said, people will follow you if you give them a reason to. He said, that's all leadership is. He said, I don't care how bad you've messed up. It may take some time, continued superior performance, but if you are successful, humans will follow you. That is just the way the world works. He said, get back in that class, crush Ranger School, and come back to the SEAL teams and give the guys a reason to follow you. And I was like, roger that, sir. Handed the phone back to KK Chen, and I said, will you put me back in my class? And
he's like, Colonel Chen, that easy, huh?
Colonel Chen goes, absolutely not.
He said, absolutely not?
Absolutely not. He said, once you're out of your class, you're out of your class. You're not going back in. He said, I will roll you to a new class. You'll be at Ranger School jail for a month. Okay. He said, and then you'll class up again. So I had to call my wife that next day and say, I'm not coming home. As a matter of fact, I actually added a month.
I'm actually extending for a month.
And for that next month, I walked around Fort Benning and picked up trash.
As a Navy SEAL. Yep. Was that a humbling experience?
It was. But it also, it was exactly what I needed. And I think, once again, God works in mysterious ways. But during that month, I finally came to grips with...
Were you a lieutenant at that time?
I was an ensign.
You're still an ensign?
Still an ensign.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had finally come to grips with
Oh, I think I might have... no, I was an ensign. I made JG right as I graduated Ranger School.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
Either way, it doesn't matter. You don't wear rank in Ranger School.
Yeah, nobody cares, yeah.
But still, SEAL officer, been to combat, super proven... although I'd lost my way.
Yeah.
And finally walking around Fort Benning for weeks, picking up trash, finally made me like, you're the problem, bro. It ain't anything than anybody else. No one threw you under the bus. You did all this yourself.
Yeah. And through your own actions.
Yep.
That's a hard pill to swallow, man.
By failing to lead myself, which is now the critical part of leadership that I try and teach people. Everyone wants to focus on how we lead others. But the reality is, if you're crushing it leading yourself, physically, personally, professionally, people are naturally going to want to follow you.
Yeah.
So often we look external, like, I need to tell these people what to do. I need to lead them. I need to give them a vision. Well, it starts with you. Yeah. So if you're not effectively leading yourself first, you're never going to be able to lead them. And that applies for your family.
Yeah.
And it applies family, business, military. I don't care what it is. The rule is universal.
Yeah, dude, honestly, like part of it, I look at it's like, how can you possibly take care of other people if you can't take care of yourself? Kind of the same thing.
Yep.
I think that's a super valuable lesson in leadership for sure. You know, like if you're not taking care of your body physically, how can you expect your people to be in physically fit shape, right? If you're not making sure you get enough sleep, how are you going to make sure your people are getting enough sleep? You know, there's a lot.
If you're not taking care of yourself, the personal relationships in your life, spouse, kids, other things.
Yeah.
How can you set the example for your people to try and do the same thing?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, all these things, the ripple effect is across the board. And in the military, it's somewhat easy. Working out is part of our culture, at least it should be.
Yeah.
But I take that a step further and tell people in the civilian world, like, hey, if you want to be a leader, it takes massive amounts of energy. And working this machine breaks down up here and all through if you're not taking care of yourself. Man, this Ferrari we were given, like you got to take care of it. You got to put good food into it. Be careful with the alcohol, good sleep.
Yeah.
You know, all those things. If you know, because it makes a difference. I know I don't drink very infrequently anymore because I know it impacts me. It impacts my ability to think and make decisions and be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I actually quit drinking in 2008.
Nice. Good on you.
Yeah, a long time ago. But funny enough, I turned 21 at the time, and I just got done dropping a keg party at my house, and then I was like, yeah, I think I'm done. Funny enough, that was an election year, so it was a weird time in my life. But you know, so what that did is, you know, forced me to become better at making accurate self-appraisals. Which, if you can't do that, you can't work on yourself. Because you need to be able to be honest with yourself, but nobody can call you on your own BS better than you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like other people can call you on your BS, sure, especially people that know you very well personally, but nobody can call you more on your own BS than you because you could rationalize yourself out of whatever. Yep. Like when you were rationalizing, I'm just getting thrown under the bus, this, that, and the other. I could do the same thing. Super easy for me to do the same thing. So like that is a valuable, I would say a valuable skill because that's not something that was just, you know, easy for me to learn. I had to learn it over time, and it took a lot of pain to get good at it, you know, but I realized, hey, if I can get good at taking these accurate self-appraisals, then I can avoid all this other pain because then I'll be able to kind of keep myself in check so that I never put myself in a position where I, you know, end up back in this painful spot again. Now, am I going to screw up again in the future? Yep. Human being, going to make mistakes. It's going to happen, but there'd be probably less severe than previous times because maybe it would be small mistakes, like little teeny ones here and there. But yeah, that's a huge deal. Being able to be honest with yourself and like look at yourself like from an unbiased perspective and making accurate self-appraisals. That is a tough thing to do. It's a tough pill to swallow, man, you know? And it sounds like after speaking to that mentor you were talking about, that it kind of like helped you look at this situation from a different perspective. And sometimes I've been fortunate to have good leaders who remind me of those things too, which is like, it kind of snaps me out of it. And I'm like, oh, crap, he's right.
Yeah, stop being a victim.
Yeah, it's like, man, because I do that too, poor me stuff all the time.
We all do. We're human.
Dude, like I wake up every morning at 4:30 in the morning, every single day. And then I complain to my wife about it sometimes. And she's like, you're choosing to do that. Nobody's making you do that. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But it's because I want to get work done. And it's like, stop complaining about it. Either do it or stop doing it.
Yeah.
You know, but like complaining about it doesn't do any good. Like, you know, and man, I love doing that poor me thing. It's so easy to fall into that.
Humans.
It's so easy to fall into that, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm tired. I don't want to get up this early. I know I've got stuff to do, but it's like, no, stop being a little what. Stop
Yeah.
being a little what, and suck it up and do the things you're supposed to do to take care of yourself or to get the work done that is necessary to continue to further yourself down the line or whatever it may be. But anyway, so you get through Ranger School, right? Ranger School was that an arduous task for you going through that?
Ranger School was hard. I won't lie. It's not as hard as Buds. A lot of people want to,
Let's get one thing clear, all right?
Well, they're different. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Buds is definitely physically much harder.
Okay.
Ranger School, it's the grind. The difference between Buds and Ranger School is Buds much longer, physically more demanding. There are periods in Buds that are brutal, obviously, Hell Week and some of the different things we do.
Yeah.
But the majority of Buds, 80%, you're off at you work from maybe 4 a.m. till on average 8 p.m. at night, and then you're off. If you want to go into town, you can go into town. So there's
4 to 8. I'd be going right to bed.
Well, which most guys should.
Yeah,
I was young and an idiot.
Dude,
Yeah.
I would be passing out like.
And when you're in dive phase, it was typically 4 to midnight. That was the
my
schedule
God, you're
during
getting
dive
4
phase.
hours of sleep.
Brutal. But
brutal.
You had time, at least a few hours, to decompress where you didn't have instructors breathing down your neck all the time. Ranger School is not like that. For 2 months or however long you're in Ranger School, there are always instructors around. Don't get me wrong. They try and tell you that you're going to get 8 hours off between bedding phase and mountain phase. That shit didn't happen.
Yeah, of course.
It didn't happen between mountain phase and Florida phase either. So for 2 months, and I remember in the first couple of weeks, like, oh my God, like this is a grind.
Yeah.
So it's a longer grind, but it was good. I learned a lot. I met a lot of good friends. My Ranger buddy, I became good friends with him, and he was a good dude. He was I don't know what my deal is with names today.
That's okay. I'm terrible with names too.
But
I'm great with faces.
He was an E6 and just a good dude and a good sounding board for me. He knew I had got myself in trouble, and now I was there. So when we were grinding through hard things, and we'd be bitching for a minute, and we had this running thing where I'd be like, "Why am I here?" And he'd be like, "'Cause you fucked up," So it's kind of fun. Yeah,
calling you out.
Yeah. So it would be a good reminder. But so finished Ranger School. Definitely, once I grew up and focused on what can I learn out of this, it became much better. I was peered very high. I actually had aspirations thinking I could try and be the honor man, but I later learned that if you get rolled, you're not allowed to be honor man.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't even in the running. But I did very well, peered very high throughout the rest of the course, graduated, came back to the SEAL teams, and kind of started a new journey because no one welcomed me back with open arms. Like,
really?
Oh, we're so glad you made. Well, yeah, think about it. I graduated Ranger School in May. It was only September of 2005 that I had made those mistakes in Afghanistan. So we're now in a new deployment cycle with many of the same guys who either at the same team. So I was still at Team 10. So a lot of the same guys knew what had happened and my reputation. And many of them had said, I don't want to work with that guy.
Really?
So I remember checking in and definitely getting the cold shoulder. But thankfully, man, my OIC was an ex-enlisted guy. And, obviously the leadership is very smart. You've been around, so you understand leadership positions people based on personality traits and where they're at and who's going to fit best.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt they picked this guy to be my boss.
Okay. And was he an 03?
Yeah, he was an 03 at this time.
Okay.
But prior enlisted, probably had, I don't know, similar to me, I think it was an E6 or maybe even an E7 before I became an officer. Super respected and just a really good dude. And I remember first time I met him coming into the platoon space, and he's like, "Hey, I heard about what happened in Afghanistan. Here's the deal. I don't care." He said, "That's in your past." He said, "All I care about is from here forward." He said, "I'm going to ask you to lead, and I'm going to push you and give you plenty of opportunities, and I'm going to ask you to follow. And, there'll be times to do that." But he said, "You work with me, and I'm not going to dwell on the past as long as, you drive forward." So
that's awesome.
He was a tremendous mentor. And
was he much older than you?
I don't want to say much older than me,
But a few years, maybe.
A few years, definitely much more mature than I was. I was growing up at this point.
Yeah.
And where he was phenomenal, and this was such a mark of a great leader, in my opinion. He knew that I was a little bit of damaged goods.
Yeah.
That we needed to do two things. Number one, I think he recognized, like, hey, I need to build Red's confidence back up, that he has the ability to lead after messing up. And I need to build the guys' trust in him to be able to lead and make good decisions.
Right.
So he looked for unique opportunities to put me in complicated positions that really frequently would have been his job. And a more junior, immature leader would have said, oh no, hey, this is a complicated thing. Like, this is an opportunity for me to shine, so I should do it because it's my job. But instead, he was looking at it from, this is going to make our platoon and troop better. It's an opportunity for Red. So he didn't need the spotlight. He didn't need the personal glory. He recognized it was better to build the team.
Yeah.
And so frequently he put me in positions where he knew all the instructor cadre running our different things. So oftentimes they'd be like, hey, you're the ground force commander, him. Try not to say his name because he's still active duty.
No, it's okay.
I think I call him JD in the book. But anyways, JD, you're the ground force commander. And he would say, you know what? I'm going to have Red run it this time. And I'm going to step out and watch.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think a more junior, immature leader would not have been able to do that. They would have been like, oh, well, I need to do this.
Yeah.
But what it did is it gave me a lot of opportunity in that workup, both to grow myself, grow my skills, grow leadership in complicated scenarios. And the guys over time were kind of like, Red's not this screw up. He's actually making good decisions. He's leading. He's being tactically good. And so that was the workup slowly over time. I still had some guys by the time we deployed to Iraq who, did not.
They just weren't fans of yours. And there's probably nothing you could have done to change that at that point anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everyone's going to like you, unfortunately. I mean, it just kind of is what it is. And some people get a bad taste in their mouth, and it's just like, I'll do the best I can, and it is what it is.
Well, and there's some people, especially in the Type A community, who, if you mess up, they're like, we don't want you, period.
Yeah. You're done forever.
No fail.
No fail. Yeah.
But
that's got to be hard for them on their own personal life. Because imagine when they get out, like how hard they are on themselves,
Yeah.
Like that sounds like it's going to be tough to like find any happiness. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're going to make mistakes.
Older, you start to realize, people are human. They make mistakes.
Yeah, dude.
They sometimes do dumb things. I mean, hopefully not malicious.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're just dumb. And I was
dumb. We make stupid
mistakes
sometimes, yeah.
So deployed to Iraq in our whole troop, April of 2007, and Iraq was definitely just going off.
Yeah.
Especially in the Western both
in Al Anbar?
We had two troops. So we were one troop. We went to Anbar.
Okay.
So we were operating out of Fallujah, conducting missions throughout Al Anbar. And our sister troop at Team 10 went to Baghdad.
Okay, I gotcha.
Did
they have was it BDSE back then? Did they have that? The Baghdad's, like the embassy was there and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Green Zone, all of that was there. They were operating. But Muqtada al-Sadr and the Sadr militia was the big threat that they were dealing with in Baghdad at that time.
Okay.
And a lot of the Iranian influence that was funneling money and munitions and the EFPs to Sadr.
Yeah.
So our guys there, we were operating throughout Al Anbar, and it was hot and heavy, man. We would end up conducting over 80 direct action capture kill missions. That's all we did.
Really? Just doing raids?
Just doing raids.
Jesus.
Almost every night. I only did a couple of daytime missions, and that was where we were doing intelligence type stuff, working with the Marines in different battle spaces where they were around Anbar. So, it was a good deployment, everything you'd ever dream of as a SEAL. But also a very challenging deployment. The very first mission of the deployment, I wasn't on it. It was a turnover op. We lost a guy from Team 4, Clark Swedler, And Chief, who would later become Senior Chief Mike Day, was wounded in that gunfight. One of our guys, a Team 10 guy, was wounded in that gunfight, and one of our Iraqis was killed.
Oh, wow.
In Al-Karma, which is where later I would end up getting all shot up months later, and Al-Karma became just a hotbed of activity for us. I think when first Battle of Fallujah and second Battle of Fallujah in 06, I think it pushed a lot of Al-Qaeda up into Al-Karma. That kind of drove them up there, and they were kind of controlling that area. And that first mission of the deployment, that joint operation with 4 and 10, they ran into a hornet's nest.
Yeah.
And then we started hitting that area all through our deployment. And every time we went in there, we got into gunfights. So June 21st was a huge firefight, but it was also the night that I think the guys were like, Red's good. Red did a great job. We took down it was a 3-part compound, and we split into 3 assault teams, and I was running assault team 2. There was a house about 60 yards from our target building. And as we went by that house as our set point, there were people sleeping outside, which frequently happened in Iraq in the summer.
Yeah. They do that in Syria too, actually. They have their beds, like a lot of these houses would have their beds outside and sleep out there.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep. So they were sleeping outside in the courtyard. So we said, hey, 2 Iraqis, our scouts, go over, wrap those guys up, keep them contained while we take down this target. As we were coming in, there was also more sleepers in our target building sleeping outside. And as we made entry, probably half the assault team had gone inside, and there were enemy fighters on the roof that started dropping grenades down on us and then opened up with a machine gun.
Oh, wow.
So we're inside, and explosions and chaos. A couple of our guys were fragged lightly, but our interpreter took the brunt of the explosion. He was fragged up the side of his body, took a big piece of frag in the neck.
Jesus.
So they pulled him into the front of the building. Our guys tried to make entry on the second floor, and DJ Shipley, who's out there, DJ was on this gunfight. DJ took a round right in the chest. Thankfully, his body armor stopped it. They pulled back and held on that stairwell, and these guys were up there. And now we also started taking fire from another house behind our target building that's now shooting at us. The machine gun on the roof has now opened up on our other buildings where other assault teams are.
Yeah.
So just chaos.
I don't want to break your train of thought. Have you seen the movie Warfare?
I haven't yet.
That just came out?
No. I've heard it's very good and realistic. And it was done by SEAL Ray Mendoza. He was a West Coast guy. I don't personally know him, but I've heard that it's pretty impressive.
I thought they did a good job.
Okay.
I've never experienced the things that they're depicting in the film. However, I thought that they creatively and artistically did a good job of portraying the story.
It was built around a night that occurred in Ramadi, I believe, with Elliot Miller, who was a SEAL who was severely wounded in 06.
Yeah, was that Task Force Bruiser?
Yeah, which is Jocko's
whole task force. Yeah.
It might have been before Task Force Bruiser. I think the Elliot Miller gunfight, and I could be wrong on this.
Yeah, it might be
there was kind of 2 back-to-back deployments that were around that same time frame that were pretty intense in Ramadi.
I know guys that were at Fallujah in 04 for the second battle and then went to Ramadi in 06, and they said Ramadi was worse. Some of them said that, which I wasn't either, but that just goes to show you the intensity that some people experience.
Well, and I know I met the other night in California, my car driver happened to be an Army interpreter. He was an Iraqi who joined the Army.
Wow.
And we were talking about 06, 07. He was like, oh my God, it was so dangerous. I lost so many friends during that time. So,
I can't imagine.
This gunfight just turned into a big show. So, but thankfully we got out. We ended up having 11 women and children. We pulled them inside initially.
Did the interpreter end up surviving?
Yeah, he did. Although I don't think he ever worked as an interpreter again. I never saw him again after that night, to be honest. I remember at one point, there was a lot going on trying to get to where, casualty control point, trying to get a full head count so we can call in a fire mission. And we still had this shooter on the roof. So I remember telling the guys, we got to take this roof.
Like with a PKM or something up there? Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, Red, that's a suicide mission. Like if we come up on this stairwell, they're gonna kill us.
Yeah.
And we knew it. Because we had tried to take the stairwell. There was a young military age male in the group of sleepers that we had inside the house. And we asked him, we said, do you know who's upstairs? And he said, yeah. And I said, we need you to go up there and tell them that if they don't surrender, we're going to blow up the house.
Yeah.
And he said, okay. So he went up. A lot of the stairwells in the Middle East, they go up one landing, they have the second landing, and then they have a landing, the second stairwell goes up onto the roof.
Yeah.
So he got up onto that second landing where obviously they could see him. As soon as he took 2 steps up that stairwell, they cut him in half with that machine gun.
They cut him in half with a machine gun.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
it was his buddy.
Yeah. So
but his buddy probably got freaked out and thought it was somebody else.
Yeah, they just saw someone come up. So I was like, I'm like, hey, we got to take this stairwell. And they were like, no, that's a suicide mission.
Yeah.
And Mark Weiss, who's no longer with us, was a team leader that night. And he was like, Red, we got to come up with a different plan. So we decided to get everybody and fall back to that other house that was where our set point was, 60 yards away.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, and we were initially just going to move. And then somebody was like, hey, what about these women and kids in this building? And I was like,
is this at nighttime?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all nighttime. It's, 3 a.m. in the morning, 2 a.m.
Jesus. Now, I wonder if that guy, did you know how many people were on the roof at that time?
We think 3.
You think 3?
Yeah. And then we probably had 2 or 3 shooters in the building behind us.
Yeah, that's sketchy. That's sketchy because it's like which direction are you going to be able to move where the people on the roof can't see you and those guys behind you?
Well, we knew that so, building, the other target building was back here. These guys are up here. So we knew moving to this set house, if we laid down fire, so that's kind of what we did. I said, everybody grab a woman and a child. And we are going to leapfrog back, base and fire element, crushing that rooftop and the house behind. And that's what we did. So all of us moved back, moved our wounded, moved the women and children, and got back to that other house. And then we got up on the roof and we dropped, gunship mission and crushed that house, secondary explosions. So I don't know if it was suicide vests or whatever they had up there.
But yeah, there was definitely something else up there for sure.
Yeah.
Probably vests.
Yeah.
I bet there was vests.
That's what we were thinking. But anyways, after that mission, I had a lot of guys that said, hey, man, Red did a good job. And that was kind of, for me, it was kind of the vindication point. Like, hey, man, you came full circle. Like,
Redemption. That was the redemption round.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you probably needed that,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in the military, if you mess up, especially in combat, you kind of need to do well in combat to redeem yourself.
Yeah. Not everybody gets the opportunity to get that redemption mission. So I'm glad that I was able to.
I was able to forgive myself. Like, I think like you're an idiot. Like you're a moron. Why'd you do all this stupid shit?
Yeah.
So it was nice to finally put all that behind me.
That's good.
And it got my career back on track.
Yeah.
So we continued, that was June. We continued to operate. I was up for orders at this point. So I was like, my options were, I had to do what's called as an officer, you do an operational tour and then a disassociated tour. You have to go do even though the SEAL Officer Corps, it's all built on operational billets. Yeah. We still send you to staff jobs to learn how to do those things.
To learn how to do staff jobs.
Yeah. So they're called, they don't help you promote it. They sort of help you, but you'll never make rank without the operational jobs.
Yeah.
Which I would encounter later. So my disassociated options were Guam and I think Bahrain and Tampa, I think, were my options. So my wife had actually spent time in Guam because her stepdad was an airline pilot that was stationed there. So and I had lived in the Virgin Islands, so we were kind of like, why don't we go to Guam? But then I found a loophole. Our Tier 1 unit was allowing junior officers to come over and be mobility commanders, kind of a new program, maritime mobility commanders.
In Virginia Beach?
Yes. So kind of a new program they were starting. Typically, you had to be a post platoon commander to go over there, but they were allowing a new thing where they would bring a assistant officer in charge, who had done a successful deployment, was approved to go over and do that.
Okay.
So I asked my commanding officer if I could do it, and he was like, absolutely, I'll support it. And then the guys gave me the thumbs up too, because you have to have the approval of your teammates to go over to that command.
Oh, okay.
So another amazing thing, like, hey man, you did it. You came full circle to go over here. So I was set to screen when I got home. So I was training really hard. So physically training while still doing missions to prepare for that screening. We were supposed to get home, I think, the beginning of October, and I think my screening was set for the end of October in Virginia Beach. Everything's good. We're packing up. We had a lot of close calls. And the last culminating thing that let me know that, hey, you're doing well is my OIC and our task unit commander came to me and said, hey, Red, you've been doing a great job. We want to get you ready for your OIC tour. So we want you to run as the ground force commander for the next mission to give you that experience and set you up, as you're moving to that next command level. So on the ground, for anybody that understands the way we work, the ground force commander is overall in charge. I had operated as a assault force commander and a mobility force commander, but the guy in charge of everything that occurs on the mission is the ground force commander.
Okay.
So it's the senior position for any mission on the ground.
Is that typically going to be like the lieutenant, the Navy lieutenant?
It can be a lieutenant or an 04. If it's a higher level mission, sometimes I'll just say, like some of our tier 1 missions, it may be an 05.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that was going to be was that going to be the last mission you ran while you were in country?
It was going to be one of the last.
One of the last ones?
Yeah. We were a week from sending our first wave of guys home over a 3-week period. So we only had gear for standby, and our incoming SEAL team was supposed to get there in a couple of days, and we would have done a couple of weeks of turnover ops while we got the rest of our guys and then gone home. So so that's where we were at with everything. So on September 12th, we got word that the number 1 leader for Al-Qaeda for the Anbar province, a guy that we'd been hunting all deployment, the guy that we knew in that very first mission that led to Petty Officer Clark Swedler being killed and Senior Chief Mike Day being all shot up. That was who they were going after that night.
Okay.
So it was a guy we had been hunting all deployment, but had never.
What's the dude's name?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. He, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, it's okay.
But that mission popped, and I don't know, just to keep things brief.
Yeah.
I won't get into the details. We ended up going on that mission. And my boss came to me and said, hey, Red, I know we were going to run you as the GFC. We really expect this mission to be pretty hairy. He said, I'm going to run as GFC. He said, I'm going to let you run as the assault force commander for the actual target takedown. So I said, okay, roger that. Thank you. Took down the initial target. Nothing was there. Signs, but didn't encounter any people.
Okay. You hit a building and there just wasn't anyone in it?
Correct.
Okay.
There were signs that people had been there. And then when we started to search the outer courtyards and buildings, we started to find bomb making equipment, weapons, things like that.
Yeah.
So, but we thought it was just going to be a quiet night. It's like 2 a.m. EODs grabbing all this shit. They were going to blow it up. And we were pretty close to calling for extract, I believe, at this point. And I was just sitting on the porch with the guys while the external security team finished their sweep and then clack off the charge. When the snipers were like, hey, we got a whole lot of activity on another house about 150 yards away. My boss was like, hey, Red, we just saw 5 guys run out of the door, run into the vegetation across the street and hide in the vegetation, which 90% of the time when people run and hide in the middle of the night after blacked out helicopters come in, they're not good people.
No.
So we had success wrapping people up like that. So he said, hey, I want you to take your team. Let's go up into that vegetation. Let's wrap these guys up.
Yeah.
So we had a gunship overhead, pushed them, asked, hey, can you see anything? No, we don't see anything. Just looks like they're laying there. We pushed through the vegetation. Those 5 individuals, so our leader had been in the building we were in earlier and went to this other house to sleep for the night. and his security detail had created an ambush line in that vegetation, probably thinking that we either would have driven in. So the road was right across the street from this ambush line, and there was also a big field, totally open desert, where you could have landed multiple helicopters. So their ambush was well staged because they could have caught vehicles or the helicopter as they came in. We ended up coming up behind them, not realizing it. These guys were disciplined enough to not engage us, although we got separated. So 3 guys went to the west. We ended up pushing out to the northeast corner, and we made the decision, hey, let's link back up, and then we'll push in from the front, from the north. But it was at that point now we had actually walked into the kill zone. Jeez. And I was out front with our interpreter, and now there were 6 of us because the other 3 were off to the west.
They were just disciplined and didn't move while you guys were walking around.
That's right.
Okay, because they hadn't been compromised or found yet.
Yeah, super disciplined because we're crunching around in thick vegetation. I mean, I couldn't see shit. It was so dense. It almost reminded me like bamboo. So my nods, it was just a blur.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't see anything.
What kind? Did you have just PVS 31s?
PVS 15s.
Oh, 15s at the time?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. You didn't have 31s back then, I guess, maybe.
No, they would have come a little later.
Man, if you had 31s, it would have changed the whole game, man. The white phosphor.
Well, there's a lot of lessons learned that night. I mean, lessons learned are, the hardest lessons learned are learned in blood. We've always said it. And we conducted things based on our tactics and what we had done in the past. The only thing I'll say for anybody who's an operator out there is when we were crunching through that vegetation in the beginning, right before we got separated, my spider sense was on fucking fire.
Yeah.
And I remember I should have talked to my team leader and said, hey man, what are you thinking? And instead I chalked it up to fear. And I was like, hey, this is just fear. Just swallow it down and continue to execute. We've done this before. This is how we've done it before.
Yeah.
I should have paused and evaluated based on that. And we didn't, and we walked into an ambush.
Yeah.
So I will say, always listen to your sixth sense. It doesn't mean you stop. Hey man, grab some of your senior dudes and be like, what are your thoughts right now? Is this fear or is this something we should reevaluate? It definitely wasn't fear. I feel like the sixth sense was kicking.
It's tough, man, because like when you think back, it's like, okay, right now, you knowing what you know, like, yeah, you would have probably made a different decision potentially.
Yeah.
But you made the best decision that at the time, with the knowledge you had, what you thought was the right decision.
Based on our tactics that we had used, proven over a very eventful combat deployment.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing. It's like,
and the gunship didn't see anything.
And that's another thing. I would have been. You were talking to them the whole time, and they were scanning the whole field and didn't see anything.
Yep.
Other than
they could see the guys.
Okay.
But they couldn't identify any weapons or anything. And they couldn't see the additional guys. That's what's kind of weird. So we do wonder, did they build something were they smart enough to try and reduce their signature with overhead? I mean,
that's tough to say. Yeah. Because like I would have been in the same.
Because we know we only saw like 4 or 5. But we know there was probably 12 to 15 in that ambush line. Yeah. Once we got engaged. 2 PKM machine guns.
Jesus. Yeah. Because like I would have been relying on their ability to see with thermals from the sky.
I was talking to them.
Yeah.
So no, they never, they could see the guys and say, hey, because that's when they told us you're going to miss them.
Yeah.
So that's when we made our turn, which caused us to separate. And then we had to regroup, and that's how things happen. But our medic was the last one to step out of the vegetation. He literally stepped on an enemy fighter who was in that corner. And the guy tried to turn to engage him, and our medic shot him. And that's what initiated the ambush.
So the medic shot the fighter, and then that initiated the ambush.
Yep. And he came out. Our medic came out. He was the first one shot. Took a round right below the knee.
Jesus.
I was further down at this point and started shooting. Well, I started yelling at first because our guys to the west were directly in line with where we were shooting.
Oh.
So I'm worried about a blue on blue. So I actually started yelling ceasefire because I actually initially thought that we were shooting at each other. As the fire picked up, I quickly realized this is crazy. We're taking fire from these guys.
Yeah.
So then I started shooting, and I said, hey, make sure you know what you're shooting at, which was really hard to do in this because these guys were back in the vegetation. We couldn't see them. All you could see is muzzle flash.
Yeah.
But a PKM sounds a lot different than a M4.
Yeah.
So they were chewing at us. So Matt Roberts ran forward and grabbed our medic and started dragging him back. And that's when Matty got shot 3 times by one of the machine guns, 2 in the leg, 1 in the arm. Matt's a great big guy, about your size.
Yeah.
And managed to drag himself and Luke back to, there was a tractor tire behind us, about 15 yards back. And there was one tree, and DJ fell behind the tree. The other guys, my team leader and our interpreter, went behind the tire, and I was still out front laying down fire when I got shot. I got caught across the body armor, and I didn't know it was 2 rounds at the time, but was shot in the arm. I thought my arm was shot off.
Jesus.
Shot again, decided I need to move back to the tire where those guys were, and that's when I caught a round in the face. It hit me from behind. So I had rounds hit me from the front on my gun, off my weapon. I had my left night vision tube shot off, all in that first initial volley. And then when I turned to move back, that's when I caught a round in the face from behind.
You know what size round?
Yeah, PKM.
It was a PKM round?
Yeah. So it struck me right in front of the ear, went through my face, exited the right side of my nose, took off most of my nose, blew out my right cheekbone. What was left of the cheekbone broke and kicked out to the right. It vaporized my orbital floor. It broke all the bones above broke the head of my jaw, shattered my jaw to my chin, and it knocked me out. So the guy saw me
I would
fall.
imagine.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I mean, like, how would you not be completely incapacitated by something that traumatic? I can't imagine anyone staying conscious for that.
Well, what was funny is afterwards I was convinced I never lost consciousness, but that's kind of an interesting story. I didn't realize I was knocked out. There was no part of me that was like, oh, what happened? To me, there was a stream of consciousness that just, hey, I got shot and now I'm awake, and I figured out, I will admit
something
it kind of took a
wrong.
second. Yeah, I could tell I was super messed up.
Yeah.
And I knew I'd been shot in the arm, and I remember reaching over and I couldn't feel my arm, which is why I thought my arm had been shot off. It killed all the nerves. I had no use of the nerves in my arm, and I might have been laying on it. I don't know, but I couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
And I was laying kind of flat on my back at this point, and this gunfight's happening over me.
Jesus, man. Where was everybody else? Was anyone
about 15
returning?
yards behind me. Oh, yeah, they were returning
They
fire.
were returning fire?
Yeah, I mean, it is all hell is broken loose.
Okay. Was the gunship shooting anybody?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No, they couldn't. I'm only 45 feet from the machine gun that has me pinned down.
Damn, there's no way they can't drop.
So DJ would later say that on the Sean Ryan show, and DJ went on to serve at our Tier 1 unit and saw a decent amount of combat after that, and said that night, that gunfight by far was the most violent gunfight he's ever been in.
So DJ Shipley even said that was the worst firefight that he experienced there?
Intense, violent, aggressive firefight he was ever in his entire career.
And it's at 3:00 in the morning.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I'm pinned down out front now, recognized like I'm super messed up. But I also knew that the guys couldn't come get me because we're in the middle of this big firefight.
Yeah.
So I remember, I imagine it was over the radio in my mind. And I think in the book I originally wrote that I yelled out to the guys, but I don't know how that would have been possible with the gunfire and everything happening. So I'm thinking maybe I came across the radio and said to my team lead, like, hey man, how long to the medevac? And he said, Red, you're still alive? And I was like, yes, how long to the medevac? Because I knew I was super messed up. I couldn't get a tourniquet on my arm. I had tried. I think I had lost too much blood. We'll fast forward. My team leader, recognizing I was still alive, requested a fire mission. But the gunship denied it initially. They said, you guys are too close. You got to figure out a way to move back. And he was like, there's thousands of yards of empty desert. I got multiple guys messed up. Red's pinned down out front. So he requested, probably 5 minutes went by, requested another one. They said no. So finally, after probably another 5 minutes, the whole thing lasted about 40 minutes. He
you were on the ground for 40 minutes. Jesus, just trying to like hold on. Like your face is all messed up.
Out,
like you're shot in your arm. You're bleeding out for 40 minutes.
I'm bleeding out.
It's a good thing that they didn't hit an artery.
It's
Because you would have been done in like 90 seconds.
Yeah.
You'd
No,
been
it's a
done.
miracle. The amount of blood I lost, doctor said it's a miracle. I mean, I would need 8 blood transfusions over the 96 hours from the time I got medevac. The whole thing's kind of a miracle in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, that I managed to take 2 rounds. I took a round in my lower bicep and I took a round on the inside of my forearm. That didn't, like you said, that didn't sever an artery. I mean, I lost a lot of blood.
Yeah.
But yeah, an artery I would have been done.
They've been done, yeah.
And the fact that I took a round in the face that didn't do, it did a ton of damage. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but it wasn't like catastrophic life ending.
Right.
Which is pretty unbelievable. I don't know many people who
there aren't a whole lot of
have
us
been shot in the face and
lived
lived.
and had the outcome that I've had,
Yeah.
which is amazing. I took a round off my right side plate. I took a round off my helmet in the fight. So at some point during the gunfight, I took my helmet off. It just, I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I took a round through it on the ground. So I have my helmet that has a round through it.
Jesus.
I took a round off my right side plate while on the ground also, which I normally don't wear I normally didn't wear side plates on assaults because the reason being I wanted to be lighter and be able to move faster. I would wear them for mobility so this is where we have a little bit of leeway in special operations.
Yeah.
You can, you obviously have to wear your front and rear plates, but
Sure.
it's optional for side plates.
Yeah.
And I normally only wear them on mobility to give me more IED protection. But that night, something said to me, wear your side plates. And I wore them that night. And I took a round right off my right side plate, which would have blown out my kidney, spine.
That saved your life.
That saved my life.
So they were trying to call for fire. They're trying to get a fire mission from this bird, and they denied them 3 times over the course of 41 minutes.
Yeah, the third time when my team leader called, he basically said, hey, look, if you don't bring this fire mission in, there's not going to be anybody left. He said, we're running out of ammo. I got guys bleeding out. So it was finally at that point that they relented. And he told them how to conduct it, which was pretty impressive, how he thought and approached it. And they brought in the first fire mission, 40 millimeter, and he called out to me, hey, Red, stand by, incoming. And I remember I don't know, it's still dark.
Yeah.
You can't see anything, but I heard the gun go off, boom, 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 boom. And then there's a delay, because you're waiting. So
for the impacts.
1,000, 1,2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. And I remember it impacting in front of us, like dirt and debris going all up over us.
Yeah.
But that machine gun went cold. And the fighter behind it immediately started crying out in pain. And gun went cold. He's crying out in pain. Allah Akbar.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, stand by. And next rounds came in. Somewhere in the middle of my team leader ran out and got me and dragged me back to the tire. And that's when he got a tourniquet on my arm.
So he ran out and got you after those first
couple of fires. He exposed himself. I personally, to this day, feel like he should get a Navy Cross. It was downgraded to a Silver Star. I still think he deserves that.
Yeah, that's
he
great
managed,
risk to your own life.
He managed the gunfight. He called in he was our senior man running the gunfight.
Yeah.
He was on the radio because I was incapacitated. He was he coordinated the closest fire mission ever executed in the Iraq War. And he was the one that ran out and got me. I mean, I owe my life to him, and got the tourniquet on my arm. And so
and he didn't know for sure if everybody was dead out there yet. Like he was just, this is my one chance to go between fire missions to come out there, snag him, pull. I mean, I'm guessing he probably grabbed you by the back of your plate carrier,
dragged me back.
and dragged. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's like you're risking it, man, because like you don't know if everybody out there's dead yet. You know what I mean? Like so,
and they weren't. We ended up. There was still sporadic fire. We ended up bringing in. I don't remember how many more 40 millimeter missions. I want to say I think 7 total before we called in the medevac, and then they smoke checked that entire field with 105.
Good.
Yeah. But yeah. Medevaced us. So kind of interesting. Years later, there were kind of gaps in the story, but I knew it was a 160th medevac crew that medevaced us.
Really?
So having some friends in the 160th, they managed to track down the crew that did it. And I remember calling the pilot. I got his number and called him and just said, "Hey man, I want to say thanks." And they didn't know if we had survived or not.
Yeah.
Like, because those guys, when they do medevacs, they just drop off and go. But they remembered that night. And then a couple years later on Veterans Day, I met the crew chiefs and the flight medic on that bird. We ended up doing this Veterans Day thing together, and they like surprised me.
That's
so
cool,
I got to
man.
hang out and drink with them. But they told me parts of the story that I didn't remember. Once again, I thought I never lost consciousness. Yeah, I was in and out of consciousness the whole time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So there were moments that occurred that I don't remember to this day. I don't remember. There was a moment that occurred when we were behind the tire where our medic Luke was like, I'm going to throw a grenade. And there was all this vegetation. Well, a key lesson you learn in jungle warfare, which I grew up in the jungles of South America, is you don't throw grenades into vegetation.
Yeah.
And I guess they said that I was laying there unconscious, and I suddenly sat up and I was like, put that grenade away. You're going to fucking kill us all. And then I laid back down. They were like, it was the weirdest thing. Like,
it was like a zombie.
Like it was years later they told me this. And I was like, what?
It's like
I don't remember that at all.
It was like a freaking zombie came back to life for just a moment and said, don't you throw that grenade.
Yeah.
Dude,
So,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
You must have something inside you just like said,
I guess like
stop, don't do that.
One of the lessons that got embedded in me doing jungle warfare was you don't throw grenades into vegetation.
Jesus.
So there was that, and then the crew said that when they got me in the helicopter, there were three of us, and DJ got on with us. So me, Luke, and Maddie all shot up in the helicopter. The helicopter was configured for only two, so they couldn't shut the doors.
Oh, wow.
So they had me sitting up against the wall next to the crew chief, and the flight medic told me, hold your hand like this. I want you to put your thumb up so I can see it.
Okay.
And I guess when I would pass out, then he'd come over and hit me and try and wake me up. And he told the crew chief, make sure he doesn't keep him awake.
Oh, okay.
So I don't remember any of that. I remember when I was walking to the helicopter, the crew chiefs had like blue lights on. And I remember as I was coming up, I remember grabbing the door of the helicopter and I could see all the blood pouring out of my face.
Oh my God.
Like I remember like that visual as I got in the helicopter. But they told us, the crew chiefs, when I hung out with them, they said they flew the rotors off to get us to Baghdad. And because the doors weren't open, it created this swirl of, we're all bleeding like stuck pigs. Maddie's shot 3 times. I'm shot, 3 times. Luke almost had his leg shot off. So they said it created this swirl of blood inside the helicopter. And like the whole helicopter was just coated in blood when they landed.
Oh my God.
So they said they were it took them like weeks to try and get all the blood out from the crevices and cracks and knobs and dials.
That is crazy.
But they said they didn't know that we survived. They thought for sure I died when they dropped us off. And they said,
and based on what they probably saw.
Yeah. So they were shocked when years later, I reached out to the pilot who then connected me to the crew chiefs and the flight medic. So yeah, but it was neat to be able to once again come full circle and say, hey man, thank you. Like I owe my life to you guys. So yeah, I mean, obviously all kinds of other little stories in there.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. The fact that you were able to thank those guys for saving your life. Like,
and my team.
And your team. Yeah.
My team leader, who I still think deserves a Navy Cross. I need to.
Well, if there's any congressmen out there that are listening to this or senators, maybe you take a closer look at that. Maybe we can upgrade it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I think that night needs to be reapproached, in my opinion.
Yeah. There are a few people that walk the earth that will ever experience something probably both terrifying as something like that or intense. Most people, the most intense thing they do in a day is like walking down the sidewalk. So like that's
dealing with a crowded sidewalk,
dealing with a crowd or something,
anxiety of that.
Yeah, like that's
which I don't like that either anymore.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, that is an incredible story. Now you spent the next 6 years recovering. 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years of inpatient and outpatient surgery.
In and out of surgery for 4 years till you to recover.
Almost 40 total. I had a couple of kidney stones surgeries thrown in the middle, and my wife says those don't count.
Oh, that's. Yeah. I know,
I'm like, a surgery's a surgery, man.
Kidney stones are
wicked painful.
Pretty painful from what people tell me.
The second most painful thing I've ever been through, aside from one of my post-surgery, the nerve block got pulled out during surgery, and they didn't realize it. And I got the full brunt of the pain. And that is the most pain I've ever been in my life. Like, brutal.
The nerve block.
Yeah, so they had put a nerve block in my arm, and they had done probably a 12-hour surgery in the beginning where they were working both on my face and on my arm, cleaning, debriding, all the things they need to do to, the first thing they've got to do is stabilize and clean out your injuries before they can ever move to the next phase of how do we put you back together. And those surgeries are really aggressive. They got to go through all the muscle, and they're trying to dirt and debris, and battlefield injuries are really dirty. So that is what leads to infection. So the procedures they have, your first several surgeries, are the doctors just cleaning everything out, and they're super painful. So the nerve block got pulled out, and I felt the full brunt of the pain.
Jesus Christ, I can't even imagine, man. That is a very arduous journey that you have had with all these experiences. I mean, I like the whole part of your story leading up to that, because that's one piece of the puzzle, right? But all of the struggles that you faced throughout your career up to that point had a massive impact on you as well.
But they also set me up for success. That's something I try to explain to people. A lot of people will say, man, your battlefield injuries must have been the hardest thing you've ever been through. And they weren't.
Yeah. Well, like the Ranger School period, or the period of the failures that you felt, the story you talked about where you almost wanted to end it all that one night. Like that's a huge deal.
Well, that journey,
that whole journey through all that,
so much, and prepared me for my battlefield injuries.
Yeah.
And those things prepared me for later. I call them life ambushes now.
Yeah.
The bullets and bombs of battle are hard, but man, the bullets and bombs of life are even harder. It's the invisible wounds and all the shit we go through, and all of them built on each other. So I just tell people that is the overcome mindset that I speak on. It is this idea that, guess what? Bad things are going to happen to good people, and you either can embrace it and overcome it and learn from it. It makes you stronger, or you can take that victim approach and just give in and, oh, woe is me. All of it is united by the one key thing we have as humans is a choice.
Yeah.
You have a choice. You can choose how you're going to deal with it. And thankfully, it's built me to be better. And I've chosen to grow from all these different things that I've gone through. And man, I'm not remarkably special. All humans have that ability, I think. I know it. It's just... you can't create an overcome mindset in the moment. Like, you can't have chosen a very soft, comfortable life, and then suddenly you get blown up by a life ambush and be like, I'm going to turn on my overcome mindset now. That's very rare.
Yeah.
You kind of no different than building muscles. There is a path. So you do have to do some things that make you uncomfortable, that get you out of your comfort zone to grow your overcome muscles.
It's good for us, though.
It is.
Having some adversity in our 100%. Life is good. Like going to the gym, sitting in the sauna. A lot of the hardest things that most average Americans may do in a day-to-day may be just going and working out, maybe going for a run, maybe going and sitting in the sauna for 20 minutes, maybe going to a hot yoga class, maybe studying for your test. It's not as intense, but doing hard things makes you better. Especially, I've come to find that a lot of the things I don't like doing are oftentimes some of the best things for me.
Yeah. 100%.
Strangely enough.
Like when you're done, you feel so fulfilled,
yeah.
even though you didn't want to do it ahead of time.
Yep.
Like you feel like, wow, I did that.
There's a lot that can be learned about doing hard things, even in retirement, even post-military, even pre-military, even if you never join the military. Doing things that are hard, I think all of us as Americans could probably benefit from. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of us don't really feel much adversity in our lives. And now that doesn't mean go out and create unnecessary adversity, but doing things that are positive for you that benefits you. I think that's good. So post-service, what kind of things have you gotten into after you got out?
Doing a lot of speaking and then getting into the entrepreneur side of things. I mean, we were blessed. Speaking has obviously done really well for me. I won this Great American Speak Off earlier this year.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. That's only creating an additional platform.
Yeah.
But I started looking at The final frontier for me, I guess, is entrepreneurship, the business world. Like, how can I be successful? And
you and your wife have been doing some stuff, though, right?
Yeah, we ran the speaking company together. We just wrote the marriage book together.
The marriage book. That's right.
Yeah.
What's the deal with the marriage book? I remember you talking about that.
Well, I mean, in the Trident, the first book, her story is all through the book from when we met and that journey. And I mean, I think I just wanted to give a tribute to many of the special operations wives who are, and military wives, I mean, just in general, and the hardships that they go through. I wanted to highlight this. Well, that led to many people saying, man, how have you guys done it? The SEAL teams have one of the highest divorce rates in the military, special operations up there with them.
Yeah.
The military community is right there with it. Law enforcement and fire, 60 to 70%. So what we started to realize was everybody kept asking us how we did it, and we were like, I don't know. I mean, there were things
I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah. Well, like many things in life, sometimes you kind of, you go through it, and then later you look back and you're like, oh, well, we were deliberate about this and that, and these were things that we did without maybe writing it down on a piece of paper. But we kind of peeled the onion back, and we were like, well, these were things we did, and these were things we did, and these were things we did. And that all kind of became this book, Mission Invincible Marriage, really targeting.
That's the name of the book, Mission Invincible Marriage?
Yep.
Okay.
And it'll work for anyone, but really law enforcement, fire, and military are who the book is really for, because it's a hard job. It's a traumatic filled job. You're always on the go. Law enforcement, the protector community, law enforcement, fire, and military, we're very mission driven. And oftentimes those of us who are mission driven are so focused on the mission, we'll place that at the highest priority and start to ignore or not put the time and effort we need to be into our families and the secondary things in our life, because this mission is the most critical thing.
I have a real problem with that myself.
A lot of us
I catch myself doing it all the time, man.
Well, because we're driven, and I think guys are mission focused. Many women are family focused. Not that women can't be mission focused, and not that guys can't be aware and family focused. It's just kind of how we're wired.
Yeah.
But in the book, I think we were really good at communicating to each other. I think we did a good job of making it work, and we figured out how to do that, and we wrote this formula in the book. So I hope that anybody's out there. That's actually why we're here for the MIC. We're going to do a 2-hour talk and a little bit of a workshop on marriage and some of the tools that we used and we recommend for our individuals out there. Because so often what happens is you've seen this plenty of times.
Yeah.
What happens is this collision point occurs where the spouse says, I can't deal with your mission any longer. So it's either your job or me. Yeah. And it becomes this ultimatum that protectors 90% of the time go, well, it's the job, it's the mission, because that's the most critical thing. It doesn't have to be that way. You can navigate it. You can figure out how to make that work. It takes work. You got to communicate. You got to include your spouse in some of the things you do. Some guys don't do a good job of that. They totally wall off that side of their life. But guess what, man? That's your most important teammate. You don't have to reveal everything. Like, if you're law enforcement and you went to a horrific, sexual violence, murder scene with kids, you don't need to, obviously, maybe going back to your spouse and just saying, wow, I had a really hard night. I don't really want to talk about it. It just involved kids, some sick things. But now they're aware. They're aware of the trauma and the world that we live in and what we go through. Because I know some guys have this tendency, I'm not going to tell my wife anything.
Yeah.
And that's not good, because they should understand, like, hey, man, God intended us to have amazing wives, man. I mean, it's written in Genesis. I mean, he took the Eve from Adam he took the rib from Adam and made Eve. And if you find an amazing spouse, I mean, they only make us better. Erica has made me better, 1,000%.
Yeah.
So I think there's this idea out there that marriage is outdated and it's not good. And in the military and law enforcement, it's hard to do, which is true.
Yeah.
But, hopefully this book will help people to understand, like, hey, it is work, but there is a formula and you can figure out how to do that. And it seems to be working, man. I've had several people come up to me and say, wow, your book saved my marriage.
That's good. Well, I mean, honestly, dude, some of the most valuable things do take work.
Yeah.
At least some of the things I've found that have been most valuable in my life required a lot of work to get to, whether it be marriage, relationships, friendships, relationships with your family, building businesses, any of that stuff, man. It is hard work. It doesn't just happen naturally, at least not for me. Like nothing good ever came easy for me. But I think that having some sort of, insight into ways that you can make a marriage more successful through work and using the right methods, I think is something, especially the first responder military community could use a little bit of guidance for, because like you said, we do have a high attrition rate for divorces and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yep. I
do think that marriage is a very rewarding social part of our, culture and religion, depending on whatever you're involved in, if you're religious or not. But I do think that it is, like, especially in these communities, it's good to have that support network. I mean, oftentimes there's things I'll talk to my wife about that I don't talk to anybody about.
That's right.
And that's like that releasing that steam, that pressure.
That's right.
It's like taking the top off the pot, letting the air out. You know what I mean?
And that's a good relationship. I mean, and that communication, I mean, that is the most critical thing that we talk about. I mean, if good or bad things happen in your life and your spouse isn't the first person that you want to go tell, there's some problems here.
That's usually there's a lot of things I only tell her because I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone else about this, but I think that's super valuable. I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing some of the things you guys talk about. I think that a lot of us in this space could always find something to benefit from other people's experience, especially in regards to marriage. Because, like, I don't know about you, but I'm not perfect at anything, and I can always
far from perfect.
Yeah, I could always use like more advice, or like, hey, how did you guys get through this, or like what was this like? Even if it's just experiential sharing of things. And I think we run a business together.
We have 3 adult children now, so all of that we write about in the book, and I think that's critical. Yeah, you nailed it. Back in the beginning, we were talking about, we should would never stop learning, or
always be teachable.
Always be teachable. I think that's key. I learn all the time. This new company I just joined, I wanted to join it for 2 reasons. Number one, because of the impact I think it will have. Technology company, Turbo Vets. I don't think there's any veteran out there that has not been massively frustrated by the benefit system and navigating it. And so much so that I do think that we have lost a lot of veterans, that the mental health and suicide crisis we're having sometimes is amplified by just trying to get your benefits, how frustrating that system is. And I met a Navy veteran who is a savant in technology, has built 3 successful companies, and has some high-level experience in AI and automation and integration technologies, and said, let's use AI to automate and integrate the military benefit system, which is now turned into a pretty large-scale ecosystem from recruit to the end. And it's been amazing. So spend a lot of time in DC working with the Veterans Administration and DOD try and bring this to the veterans. It goes live on Veterans Day this year. The disability module will be live. We're working on some of the nuances, continuing to work with our government organizations. Government bureaucracy is a very real thing. And navigating that is interesting, but much appreciation for our veterans, veteran teammates of mine, and many of our senior leaders who love the veteran community and want to see change and want to see us make an impact. So that has been a big thing that I'm focused on and working on now.
That's awesome, man. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that. I'm sure you'll be successful. You've been very successful, and I would say arguably most of your affairs throughout your life. And I think that, your marriage is a good example of that. The relationship that you have with your family is a good example of that. The community is a good example of that. Your success post-service is a good example of that. So I'm sure your business will do well. So, and not only will it help you and your business, but it'll help veterans who are, frustrated with the processes that are in place. And that's what AI is for. It's there to make our lives easier.
Every veteran, if you're listening to this, we fought and served for the American dream. If you look at what our founding fathers wrote in the Bill of Rights, what did they, they life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is what we are provided as American citizens. And that really is the American dream.
Yeah.
That life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, not a guarantee, the pursuit.
Yeah.
When you join the military, you give all that stuff up.
Yeah.
You sign on the line, and they send us to dangerous places where many of us don't come home. Your liberty, we were joking in the beginning, like, hey, where's my leave chit? Like you don't just get to go do whatever you want to do when you're in the military.
Yeah.
And then your pursuit of happiness, you put your earning potential on hold. You put all these things on hold during your time in military service. So no one better than those who served should be able to go should have the right and ability and all the tools necessary to achieve their American dream. So my question to every veteran out there is, what is yours? Don't settle. And within, there's no guarantee it's going to happen, but we want to provide them all the tools. Every veteran should get every benefit they've ever earned.
Yeah.
And those benefits go far beyond disability.
Yeah.
They get into education. They get into employment. They get into connecting you with businesses. And we want to leverage technology to make sure that every veteran gets every benefit they've earned so that you can accomplish your American dream, whatever that is.
Yeah.
No guarantee. That doesn't mean you're going to be a millionaire. There's a lot of work and there's a path, but we want to be able to provide you the tools so at least you can go after it.
I think that's part of one of the parts of this community that I think is valuable is that there are a lot of folks in it that are trying to make it better for other people in it as well.
Yeah.
And the more of us that are out there trying to be supportive of each other, I think the better, because really at the end of the day, I know it's been said a million times, but genuinely a rising tide in this community does lift all ships. And I mean that. When I say it, I mean it. I've heard some people say it that didn't necessarily mean it. I'm sure you feel the same way. And helping each other is like the whole reason I started doing this thing in the first place. So,
well, think about the veteran community and the military community. There's a lot of dysfunction happening in America right now.
Yeah.
No better in the world. The military taught you how to work with people from all different race, creed, color. Like, I have brothers in the military. Some of them are atheists. Some of them have different religions. They were different races, but we were united by this common mission. Sometimes I didn't like them and I didn't agree with them, but I loved them for this cohesion. We, as a nation, need to get back to that. Who better than to set that example than our military members who have been out there? We need you out there setting that example, showing that, hey, it doesn't matter, race, creed, color, gender, demographic, I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
Like, we should be the ones leading, bringing people back together and setting that example. So let's help you earn your benefits so that you can accomplish yours, and then go out and lead and make an impact in your community because, we need it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's about wrapping it up for us right here, man. But before we go, I want to make sure I don't forget. I got something for you here. I want to make sure I give that to you, brother.
Awesome.
I appreciate you, brother.
Well, I'm returning the favor.
Oh, okay.
So that one's mine. Yeah.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man.
Check that out. That's awesome.
I love that, man. Thank you, Kagan.
Yeah, no, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time
thank you
to
for
come up here. That backside is a scene from Belleau Wood.
Right
there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's one of the scenes in the Belleau Woods there with a German getting bayoneted by a Marine. So
love it.
It's kind of a cool thing. And each of these are serialized on the side. Should be a serial number, tells you which one it is. There's only, I think, 350 made total.
Yeah, man. Thank you. 155.
There it is.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
man.
I appreciate you too, man.
I have a great coin collection. So
do you?
It goes.
I bet you do. You got a big
crazy.
a rack for it.
We multiple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you got multiple.
In our after we're done, I'll show you the video.
Okay.
I've collected. I mean, when I got wounded, and then getting into speaking and all across military bases, fire academies, everything. My coin collection is insane.
Blossomed. And flourished.
So when we bought our new building, a friend of mine, a fellow SEAL, built me these beautiful wooden holders for the walls, and now we just continue to fill them with amazing coins.
That's awesome.
So highlight them.
Well, Brother, I appreciate you taking the time to do this again today. It means a lot to me, and I know it will mean a lot to other people that are able to hear your story and some of the experiences that you've had, especially the experiences of struggle. I think those are some of the most valuable ones because everybody's got stuff they're going through, and here's your sign to keep going, even when things get hard. You know, just keep going, man. And again, I will see you at the conference. Even
if it's the end, there is a new beginning. Just like, you think it's the end of one part of your life, but it becomes the new beginning of something else. And that's what that chaplain told me.
Amen, man. Yeah. Well, hey, all right. I think that's perfect, brother. I appreciate your time again, and we'll see you here at the conference.
Yeah, see you in a few hours.
All right, brother. Yeah, in a few hours.